Hey everybody, it's Mark McPherson, movie critic for Moviespoon.com, TwinCitiesGeek.com, and my own website, movieswithmark.com. So today on our show, we're going to be, I got my wife on the side there, uh, and we're going to be talking about the latest films of The Greatest Showman, The Post, and then we're going to see if we can talk about maybe a little bit of Christmas movies after that. All right. Our first film is The Greatest Showman. This is the kind of whimsical musical, I guess you'd say, about P.T. Barnum's life, which is kind of odd. Like if you're a little bit familiar with like P.T. Barnum's life, it's it's done some iffy stuff there, but the movie glazes over most of this stuff to present a very nice and charming, whimsical one that is more about the entertainment and the song and dance numbers and the circus. It's kind of weird that how they stage this. It seems like the type of show that P.T. Barnum would have made, where it's kind of like, he's trying to hoodwink you, trying to use some of like his huckstering to try to get butts in the seats here. And they kind of do that here because, like, if you look at the poster, I'm not sure if it listed on the poster on the side here, but one of the things they tout about this is that it has the music from the lyricists of La La Land. And like La La Land's in like big letters on there, so you kind of think like, oh, well, La La Land, well, then it must be pretty good. Must be like La La Land with their creativity, with infusing like orchestra and jazz with kind of like that kind of classic Hollywood type stuff. Here they just kind of give it kind of like the easy Broadway approach. I mean, this is like music. I think I mentioned this in my review, but like this is music that that you could like listen to on the radio. You could slide it alongside like a good comparison would be like Frozen's Let It Go. It's in
let
that
it go, let it go. I hate that song now.
In fact, I think one of the big numbers here is there's a song called Never, it kind of reminded me of the same vein of that. And it's become kind of a popular song. It's by I think it's not by Zendaya. I thought it was like Michelle Williams or something like that, but she has like a different voice here. It's supposed to be sung by let me grab my notes here. It's supposed to be sung by Jenny Lind, who's the famous opera singer, and it's kind of
familiar with her at all.
She did opera around like Europe, and then P.T. Barnum picked her up for doing an American tour, and I was listening to some of her opera before I went into this, and it's like she has a really good voice, like sounds really good, sounds. You
mean the character, or? Are you actually listening to audio from the original?
Yeah, this is from the
that exists? Like, what era did P.T. Barnum? When did he die?
It's kind of like I think it was like
1800s. I can Google that.
But but it seems like a lot of her operatic numbers would sound like they actually do opera here, and here they're kind of doing the same thing that they do with all the musical numbers, is they do this kind of like Broadway approach where everyone is very projecting and very loud, and you have the orchestra booming, and everyone sounds like kind of like they're on like American Idol.
So P.T. Barnum died in April 7th, 1891.
Mm-hmm.
So who is this person you were talking about, this opera singer you claim to have heard?
Jenny Lind.
And are you going based off of the movie, or did you listen to her separately? Because it's not the same.
Yeah, but I've heard like some of like people doing like renditions of her and stuff like that, and it sounds like, and it's like her performances like kind of like they sound like like how an opera singer would. So when they actually get to her like big performance number, it sounds more like Frozen than it would like an opera.
Well, because she died in 1887, and I don't know if they were doing audio recordings in 1887. So it's not like you heard, it's the actress portraying her that you would have heard.
Yeah. So
okay, it's just because you're acting like, oh, Jenny Lind, I actually heard her saying.
Oh, I guess. Oh, yeah. I'll clarify. Yeah, the projection, the projection of her music, the way that she sung it.
Okay.
It sounds like opera, and here it sounds like like typical Broadway. And to be fair, the songs here, they're not bad. I mean, they fill their purpose here. Like, of course, like the big number is like that, her singing Never, and there's later a scene where the woman playing the bearded lady, she has a great song called This Is Me. And it's not bad for like a song and dance number for like the Broadway type stuff. But the thing is, like, a lot of these songs they kind of just feel like atypical of, like, you know, like, oh, let's take P.T. Barnum's story and kind of filter it through the Broadway machine here. And it kind of gets in the way of, like, you know, focusing a little bit more on his story, because they kind of glaze over his stuff, like, you know, how he was obsessed with trying to one up his parent, his father-in-law, because like they were trying to he came from like nothing and said, like, I want to make something of myself, and he builds himself up, and he's kind of a jerk to people to show off his fame. He starts kind of neglecting his family. He starts betting too much on this show and his oddities and stuff like that, and not trusting a lot of people. He loses a lot of money at some points. His wife thinks that he's being betrayed. And it seems like there's a lot of drama to explore here, but he ends up kind of, you know, making it all kind of work in the end. And it goes through kind of the usual beats here, trying to make it seem light, make it seem like, you know, nice and pleasurable, and, you know, music that you can like sing along to.
I kissed the cat. Now I got
Okay. Well, then don't do that.
I just know about P.T. Barnum is he's the one with the quote, "There's a sucker born every minute."
Yep.
So I assume he does some conning at some point.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't seem as much like conning, just because, like, the way that the film portrays it, it seems like kind of like he's more genuine than he is kind of a huckster, because it seems like, because like they show his like Museum of Oddities that he starts off with first, and
like a Ripley's Believe It or Not type thing he starts off with, which I think was common of circus and carnivals at the time.
Yeah.
But I guess what's really more important to the film is how is Hugh Jackman singing, if he is indeed singing.
He has probably like maybe like 2 or 3 songs in it, and they're okay because he's usually sharing the screen with someone, and they're usually kind of like sing talk type songs. Like, I mean, he does have an opening number that's okay, where he's controlling the stage. Like, they start this off right away in the first scene with him immediately like throwing on the hat, getting the circus together, and like throwing all the stunts at the screen before we transition to him as a kid where he's pouring everything. And there's probably one of the better sequences in there is like he tries to convince this playwright called Philip Carlyle. He tries to convince him to come with him as like a partner, and they discuss it over drinks. And this turns into a musical number where they end up kind of having, you know, a dispute in the bar with, you know, perfectly timed, you know, gulping and drinking and slamming down of glasses, and they start dancing on the tables and sliding drinks, and like the bartender's trying to keep up with them. So it's not a bad, like, I think that was probably my favorite scene, just because like it sounds like it could have been a really boring moment, and then kind of turn it over on its head, as opposed to the other moments which kind of feel obligatory. Like there's a scene where he's down in the dumps, where he thinks like, I've lost everything, I can't do anything, and then of course his troupe of oddities come into the bar, and it's like, well, we're gonna pull him out of the dumps. And I figured, like, okay, I gotta hit the restroom, so I'm pretty sure I know what's gonna happen here. They're gonna come in, they're gonna convince him, and then they're gonna break into song and dance.
I'm confused. Did you say you had to hit the restroom?
Yeah, I had to hit the restroom.
Okay.
So I figured, like, okay, I bet I know what's gonna happen in this scene, so I'm just gonna pop out quick. I pop out, come back in, sure enough, they're singing and dancing on top of the bar. Singing the song like, oh, you gotta get back out there and make something of yourself.
Okay. Is the music at least, you know, better than his singing in Les Mis, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say that only because it doesn't feel like he has to project as much.
Well, they probably weren't doing that thing where, like, they rammed the camera in your face.
Camera in your face.
They ram the camera in your face and, you know, do all the singing on film instead of dubbing it later, like they usually do.
And even if it's terrible, there's trapeze artists and elephants and all this other crazy crap going on, and then and then in the scene in the bar where he's singing, he's got like the dance number, and you're more kind of watching the drinks and everything. So there's more of that huckstering going on here.
So basically, he's more like Sacha Baron Cohen's character in Les Mis than the character he played in Les Mis. So he's working that acting range.
Yep, and they try to stage him as this kind of, wondrous guy who's got all of these great ideas, and he's sweet to his kids, and he's got this chipper smile to him, and that all this the terrible stuff about him kind of seems like it's mulled over by him doing one more extraordinary thing, or like one heartfelt thing over the other. So just try to keep compensating for him the whole time, just so you never hate Hugh Jackman. You always like him.
Yeah.
You always like P.T. Barnum in this. There's, like, even when they get in the down moments where you think, like, he's done something really terrible. Like, at one point he invests, like, so much money in Jenny Lin's tour that the circus has, like, nothing. And it's like, well, shouldn't you have talked about that with the other people there? It's like, oh, but no, he'll fix it up. He'll get a tent and everything will be great again. So it kind of keeps trying to win you over like that. And it just kind of kept winding me the whole time. Because I like him a little bit, but it seems like there should be a little bit more here. Because it's quickly edited, too.
Yeah.
Like, it proceeds very quickly from one scene to another. They keep that musical tone going where everything can have a beat to it. And it keeps up. I think people will like it for that. I think if you're going for, if you're expecting the type of Broadway music... you'll probably dig it. It's destined to be a Broadway show.
Well, it sounds like it could be a fun movie. I kind of feel like everything's a musical these days, though. I mean, there's a SpongeBob musical, but it sounds like it's decent.
It's decent.
It doesn't sound like anything spectacular, but it sounds like it's a decent movie for if you just want a nice, lighthearted experience, which is sometimes what I want. So
sure. Yeah, and if that's what you're looking for, that's good. But I don't know. I kind of felt there should be just a little bit more that could be explored here. Like there's rarely a song that feels like downtrodden. Like everything feels like it's.
Oh, I see. So he needs to have more conflict, and the song needs to have conflict in it. Is that what you're saying? Maybe?
Well, it seems like there should be a little bit more conflict. That there should be a little bit more of like of kind of like a downer type song that there should be in there, because most of the songs that are somber are just kind of there. Like Jenny Lin's song Never kind of sounds a little bit somber, but it's just a performance. It doesn't seem like it's coming from anywhere. It might have come from the fact that she doesn't really trust Barnum that much, but it didn't really come across on screen.
Do you think maybe that has, I don't know, sometimes I think musicals, even when they're singing sad songs, sometimes it still just makes you happy because singing is fun.
Yeah.
But I guess, no, that's not true at all, I think. Now I think about it more, because I cried like a baby during Les Mis, and that was almost all singing. So. Yeah.
But I think that's just the one problem about it, is that it feels so much like Broadway, that all these sequences are kind of just like set up to be in there, where it kind of takes you out of the experience, because they try to set it in like the 1800s.
Did you check and make sure that it wasn't a Broadway musical that was adapted to the to the big screen?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Okay.
But
that might be their plan to do that.
Oh, I have no doubt. They already, like, one of the things they did for the premieres, they did a live show of it. So
yeah.
So it's going to be it's going to be on Broadway, and I would say, If it's the choice between the movie and Broadway, I would say wait for Broadway, because like the songs will be much more entertaining there, and there's a lot of scenes here that feel they'd be more impressive to see on stage. Like there's one scene where Carlisle, is played by Zac Efron, has a relationship with the trapeze artist, who's played by Zendaya, and they have this kind of interesting scene where she's kind of like going around the ring on like a rope while they're trying to have this kind of like feud about whether or not they love each other, or whether or not they can be together, because he's kind of like looked down upon by like the elites for going with this woman. So they have this kind of like nice back and forth with this song, where they're kind of like, on this rope and going around the ring and tying themselves up and going up and down. And it's one of those things, like, if this were live, it would be impressive to see. But just like seeing it within like the confines of like a movie, where you can have everything staged nice and have like that perfect close up and everything like that, it could be cool, but it feels like it would be a lot cooler to see on stage, to see someone do this.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Certain things just work better in different medias. Like, I hear things like The Cursed Child are really good to watch, but they released it in book form, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Or, you loved Star Wars, but when you told me about the plot, I was like, oh, why?
Let me tell them bullet points like that. Yeah.
So, I think certain things need certain type levels of visuals, and then there's just certain things about when you watch a musical in a theater, as a stage production. I mean, you go in with a different set of expectations than a movie, and they don't have to do as much with sets. But I don't know, the singing makes more sense to me for some reason when I'm seeing a play. Maybe because most of the plays I've seen have been musicals.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Matilda the musical, and
yeah, but
don't see kids musicals.
They can't all be winners. That's a bad saying.
No, it had really good reviews though, so maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, different spokes,
Different spokes for different folks. Different strokes. Like the paintbrush strokes.
But yeah, I would say probably for like families, if you want like a nice musical, because there aren't a lot of.
Is it child appropriate then?
I would say
bring our kid to it, well, she's not quite 6 yet. She's almost 6.
I would say you could probably bring kids to this, because a lot of like the stuff that, like I said, like a lot of the stuff that would be like downtrodden and dour, like his wife believing that she's cheating on him, like a wife believing that she's cheating on her, and then like the stuff with like the money, and then him drowning his sorrows in a bar. Most of that's kind of light, kind of smoothed over with a nice song or trying to win you back with Barnum. So I think, for families, I think it'd be a decent bit, because there is some cool stuff there. You do get to see the oddities kind of rise up and have power in themselves, and you get to see the big elephants and all the crazy crap he's got in his museum of oddities. And there's a lot of whimsy to it. I think that some kids will dig there, especially because you have these little girls of Barnum who are just so sweet to watch.
What?
Well, Barnum has like 2 little girls.
Oh, I see.
And he kind of tries to impart some of his knowledge, some of his like dreams and spirits with them, and encourages them to keep on going, even though they kind of hate the fact he spends all his time at the circus, but he kind of wins them back.
Isn't that what parenting's all about?
It's parenting all about, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's well assembled and everything, but I think it's maybe a little bit too assembled. That it's kind of like I mentioned in my review. It's hard to kind of enjoy the puppet show when you can clearly see all the strings being pulled here. So I'm kind of mild on it. Like, yeah, if there's slim pickings, for like families this Christmas, for Christmas films. So for that, I'd say go for it. But for me, it's like 2.5 out of 5 stars. So kind of mild. Music's okay. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's no La La Land, but it's sufficient. If you have kids, you have family, or you just love musicals in general, I would say go see it.
You want to blow a whole lot of money at the movie theater.
Yeah. Well, if you want to blow money on that, or if you want to blow money on the eventual Broadway play.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
which is way more expensive, though, to see a play.
Yeah.
If we're being real.
But if you had your choice, I'd say it'd be more astounding to see this on Broadway more than anything. So when eventually that happens, that's where you go. If you love Broadway soundtracks, it's definitely worth listening to the soundtrack. It's pretty good. So, yeah. All right, so our next film is The Post, which, according to a few people, has been considered one of the best films of the year. I don't think it's quite up there, but I think it's very close. I really did like this film, and it's mainly because of the pedigree that's going on here. You have Steven Spielberg directing a film that's starring Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in a very timely film about the free press.
Oh, okay.
So this is kind of like the story about how the Washington Post came into contact with someone who had classified documents about the Vietnam War. The New York Times had been publishing it for a while, and then they got in trouble with the Supreme Court. And then it was basically in the Washington Post court to decide, are we going to publish this, or are we going to publish this and risk going to court, or do we, not publish it and just keep our heads low and save everybody. And so they make the tough call there. And it's the thing is, like, this film was kind of rushed into production because I think it started production last October, and they wanted to get this out because it's a very timely theme, and Spielberg felt very compelled to do it. But I think, and a few people have said this in reviews, is that it feels like it's trying just a little bit too hard to nail the big themes. Like, one of the big themes was that Meryl Streep plays the head publisher of Washington Post, which was a big deal at the time. Mm-hmm. And they tried to stress how it was such a big deal, how she came into this company, how there wasn't a lot of faith for her, how she was kind of inspiring to a lot of women who wanted to run their own organization. And then they kind of focus on that, but they also focus on the fear that, you know, like, man, if I make the wrong call, like, it's over. Like, they're going to blame me, you know, this company will be shut down, you know. And it gets to a really cool point where she has to make the tough call, where basically she's on the phone with every single person. Like, she's on the phone with, like, the editor, played by Tom Hanks. She's on there with reporters and their legal team, and they're just bickering, trying to decide, like, it's up to you. You know, this is your call. So it's very tense in that. It's very, very fun as kind of like a thriller. Like, the path they use to get to these documents is through one of the other reporters, played by Bob Odenkirk, who, if you're familiar with him on, like, Better Call Saul, it kind of reminded me of that, because there's scenes where, like, he keeps running to a phone outside because he doesn't want the trail to lead back to him, because it's very secretive. He's trying to keep secrets from everyone because he realizes that, you know, if you reveal the source, it's gonna hurt us in the long run. So there's a lot of like questioning, you know, about, like, the free press there, how, you know, like, Nixon was trying to stop these documents from coming out. There's a lot of questioning. About, you know, how, you know, publishing certain stuff will affect your relationship, because one of the big things is that Meryl Streep's character, the publisher, is in big with a lot of these, like, politicians and people in Washington. So she's worried that if she publishes these documents, you know, it's going to sour that relationship completely, which it will. But she's kind of, you know, she kind of feels like obligated. Like, if I want this paper to succeed and I want my business to succeed, you know, I've got to be true to it. And they focus a lot on like the big themes. They force them through kind of a little bit heavy at times, but at the same time, it feels like it's warranted for how much they hammer this stuff home. Like, especially like, sometimes they have to say, like, stuff like towards the end they have the climax where she's saying, you know, we will make mistakes, you know, we won't be perfect, but we've got to keep going with this. And, you know, we've got to learn, and we got to keep going with this, because, like, the free press is very important, especially during a time when, you know, these classified documents would be something that's very beneficial for people to see.
So were the classified documents about, like, Watergate or something?
Actually,
or were they about Vietnam War?
They're about the Vietnam War and the events that took place over, like, decades that led up to the Vietnam War. Uh-huh. But it's kind of interesting because, like, throughout the film, there's this kind of, like, knowing jab, like, you know, like oh, you know, nothing this horrible will ever happen again. There's, like, I'll be damned if I see this. And it has the greatest stinger ending because the film actually ends with Watergate. Mm-hmm. It actually ends on, like, the shot of, like, the, you know, the cop coming in there and finding all the flashlights and everything and calling it in.
Interesting.
So yeah, it kind of stresses how it's just, you know, it's only just going to continue. So, you know, just the press has got to keep at it there. Mm-hmm. So the biggest selling point, I think, of the film is definitely going to be the performances. And I think Spielberg does a great job with directing these scenes where characters feel very natural, where they can actually, you know, speak to each other, where they can actually, like, talk over each other and have back and forth in the room. Pretty fun. And just, like, the whole setting of, like, the newsroom and the presses and everything, I think really gets you into the world. Just the way they set up kind of like the bullpen, and then the especially, like, there's the great scene where they have when the documents finally go to press, and you see, like, the giant presses, like, how everything is set up, how they type up the plates, how they get the copywriters in there. Cool. And, like, just little details, like, once they started up, you know, the people who are, like, a few floors up and, like, writing in the editor's room can feel, like, the shaking of their desks when these huge machines are barreling. Because they're massive machines.
Do you think they still use those types of machines?
I don't think probably not regularly. Like I heard Richard Roper talking about how it was
Printing's changed a lot since then, hasn't it?
it has changed a lot. It's a lot more
Digital.
yeah, like digital is a lot more easier to
Laser jets.
streamline.
Laser jets.
Yeah.
Laser jets.
More efficient than when you see what they do in the film of trying to set up like the typeset with all like the plates and these huge designs.
Yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Yeah. I will say that if you, from like a graphic design point, this stuff is fun to watch because you get to see like their drafts of the layout and like where it goes from like copywriter to copywriter, how they type stuff up and get everything lined up perfectly for these plates. So you get a lot of cool shots like that.
Yeah, I felt kind of dumb when I asked if it was still done the same way because then I remembered my dad used to work in printing and no, it's completely changed.
Yeah. And I can't
not using my head today. I'm just brain dead. It's okay.
I can't help but feel that if you look at that, it's kind of cool to look back on this stuff. But it's also kind of like, man, thank God I don't have to do that again because there's a lot of work that goes into this.
I think it paid good though.
It probably did, yeah.
In printing. So.
Yeah. Well, look, it looks like a lot of. I mean, it's a lot of detail, but it looks like a lot of fun doing that stuff. Right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, like, because like at least the way that Spielberg shoots it, he makes it seem like it's big and like amazing, and that there's like energy going into every single thing happening in the newsroom. Especially like when they start uncovering documents, like they think they got a lead, and then like something will come over the news wire that they'll drag in from like the machine. That's just this huge line of paper they drag across the floor, saying, "Oh, we're too late. The Times got it over here." So it's kind of neat to see that kind of how stuff worked back then. So yeah, it's definitely Spielberg places you in that era, lets you enjoy little bits and parts of it. And he tries not to shy away from most of it. Like, he does have, like, an opening shot in the Vietnam War with, showing the person who did leak the documents kind of why he wanted to leak them, how he was, corresponding with other people and realized, I had to do this. So they focus on it kind of more as both kind of like, kind of like a nice portrait of the free press, but also kind of like as a thriller. Although I will say it doesn't quite feel as a thriller. Like, we don't follow quite as much of the Vietnam documents. We're kind of more for like the journey of deciding whether or not to print them. I mean, they do address a few parts of it, but it's mostly for the energy. Like, there's a scene where Tom Hanks, as the editor, brings like all the reporters and the legal team over to his house to sort through these documents because they don't have page numbers. So they're basically having like this big puzzle of trying to like piece together where each part goes and deciding, what's the juicy parts we can take out of it.
This is slightly off topic, but I think a lot of the government's JFK documents were declassified within the past few months.
That's true.
Not all of them, though.
No. Well, because even with this particular case, they didn't get all the documents either.
Yeah.
At least from what it sounds like in the film, it looks like about as much as Bob Odenkirk's character could carry. Like, they have that great scene where he throws them in 2 suitcases and then puts extra locks in them and like puts them in seatbelts and an extra.
I saw that I did see that trailer.
Yeah.
It took me a while to remember what you were talking about, but then I remembered the scene on the plane where he has the suitcase. So that's what's in the suitcase.
Yep.
And that's the context of that.
Yep. And just flat out tells like, oh, it's government secrets.
That's weird. And they're just like, okay.
Well, you hide in plain sight. But definitely, I think like seeing the newsroom is cool, but definitely one of the big selling points is the cast here. You have a great supporting cast. Like I said, you have Bob Odenkirk. You have David Cross as one of the other reporters. You have Jesse Plemons playing one of the legal team experts. The person that do you know Jesse Plemons is?
Nope.
He's who you and I refer to as Fat Matt Damon.
Fat Matt Damon!
And he's
what
great.
movie was he in that I kept saying that it was Fat Matt Damon? Poor guy.
I'm trying to remember a movie. He's best known from he's from Breaking Bad. He's from the Fargo TV series.
Oh, so. Fargo TV series because he played that butcher.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not good with remembering actors' names so much. So
Yep.
Fat Matt Damon. He just a thicker Matt Damon.
Nigga Matt Damon.
He'll keep shoot. What was the actress's name now? In Fargo.
Oh,
Who played his wife? She was in Spider-Man, the original original trilogy of Spider-Man.
Was it? Oh man, it's just
I always
blanking
want
on
to
me.
say that her name is Kristen Stewart, but that's the Twilight chick. But I think her first name is Kristen and her last name starts with an S. She was also in Jumanji.
Ah, that's right.
But anyway, he's got more for loving with his crazy wife from Fargo.
Yeah.
For when they're hanging out in that cabin.
But he's great in the film, and and another actor who I think doesn't get enough credit is Bruce Greenwood is in the film playing the former Secretary of Defense.
Don't know who that is either.
Bruce Greenwood, Captain Pike from the new Star Trek.
Captain Pike.
Remember? Guy says, you belong at Starfleet.
Is he the one that ends up in a wheelchair? Or is that a different guy?
No, that's him.
Okay, yeah. I remember him then. All right.
But yeah, he deserves like a lot of credit for playing these like politician type characters because he did that again this year with he was in Kingsman too. Even though it was a comical role, he played the president of the United States.
That sounds about right. He carries himself well. I think that has to do with that.
Yeah, he's got a really great voice to him. Like he was Batman on Young Justice. So
I could see that.
He's got it, man.
I saw that show actually, so I definitely can see that.
Yeah, I mean this is a huge supporting cast, but like he deserves a lot of credit just because I think he's in so much and he always commands it so well, and he could easily get lost here with like I'm trying to think of the other actors. There's like Gabe from The Office. There's oh my goodness.
I don't remember The Office so well enough to know who that is. Give me a physical description.
He's kind of tall, kind of lanky. He was in the opening scene of the new Ghostbusters.
I didn't see the new Ghostbusters.
Right,
You know that.
That's right.
I'm not watching that.
But yeah, people know what it is as if they've seen The Office or they've seen Ghostbusters. So yeah, there's a lot of great casts here, and they're definitely at their A game. I like the fact that Tom Hanks is not playing his usual kind of Tom Hanks self. Well, he's kind of the nice guy here, but he's kind of like the gung ho type.
Well, actually, I have seen movies where Tom Hanks plays an ass. I mean,
yeah.
Woody in Pixar is kind of an ass, even. So
Well, here he's kind of playing a guy who's willing to like bet it all, like because like Meryl Streep's character, she's definitely afraid. She's terrified of her decisions, but she still goes ahead with them. Yeah. Tom Hanks just kind of like barrels ahead with most of them, knowing what's right.
Yeah.
Even though he kind of had some doubts in himself. Like at one point when he's got all the documents spread out around his house, he calls in the legal team. So he invites them over, and they're kind of like shocked, like because there's tons and tons of these documents all over the place. Like we don't know if we can publish this. And at one point they're just kind of like start asking him like, well, can you guarantee that no like soldier will be like harmed or like anyone could be harmed by these documents? It's like, yeah. Like, really? No, that's why I called you guys. Do your job.
Yeah. I don't want to get too political, but that is something people should think about before they release government secrets.
Yeah. And I like the fact that
it depends on what it is. There's some things that the American people should know that the government doesn't want to tell us. So
yeah, and it's not like for like as gung ho as he is for most of the film, he kind of thinks about it a lot.
That reminds me of the other thing that just got released.
What was it?
That the government had a UFO agency.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that.
It just kind of made me smile, but at the same time, it's like. But our government was really spending that much money on that.
So yeah,
out there.
I mean, yeah, definitely the film's important. I'm just kind of wondering like how timely it'll be, like, because right now it feels perfectly fit for the era. It remains to kind of be seen like how much it'll hold up over time. But for what it is, I enjoyed it. It's very entertaining. It gets you into the world. It's got great performances. So for that, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think it's quite the best of the year, but I did really enjoy it. And I know that just for the importance alone, it's probably going to end up on a lot of best of lists. And for that, I almost want to go higher, but I can only go 4 out of 5 just because when they want to hit these themes, they hit them really hard over the head, like where you're going to get a few lumps just trying to get through it.
Hey, honey, on a scale of 1 to 4 stars, how arbitrary is the rating system?
It's
That was obviously a joke, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was gonna say, like stars are just kind of more of like a relative thing. It's just kind of like an easy thing. Like stars are considered a little bit more
Thumbs up! Thumbs down.
You can't actually do it. That's actually copyrighted. You can't actually do that. Or it's trademarked, something like that. Whoops.
One of them, they're both dead.
Yeah, but but Ebert's site still remains.
Is his wife gonna come after me?
Yes. So.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ebert.
Sorry, Chaz. Please don't say.
I mean nothing by it. I didn't know.
It's only if they claim official ratings. So no, I'm
So we didn't. We're cool.
No,
We're
I'm
cool.
I'm sticking with stars. We're cool.
We're cool.
No one's trademarked stars yet.
A lot of people would be in trouble if they did.
I did like his reasoning though, with the fact that the thumbs kind of really don't matter. It's just the device.
But it's his gimmick.
Yeah,
I get it. I do get it. I'm not. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's just something like if.
But what about Roper's family? He can get any dough out of that? Mm-hmm.
He might have. I don't know.
Solely belong to Ebert.
Roper's gonna this.
Huh?
I don't know. I'll ask him.
He's dead.
Roper?
You can't ask. Wait. Oh, did I mix him up with the other guy?
Yeah.
Who's the balding guy's name?
That's Siskel.
Siskel. That's what I meant. Siskel. Damn it! What is wrong with me?
Even when they were alive, people couldn't keep track of who.
Oh, because he replaced him right away, didn't he?
After about a year.
Yeah.
And they had kind of like rotating guests on there, like guest critics come on, until they eventually settled on Roper.
Ebert's got, well, he did when he was alive. He had to eat too,
Yeah.
So, he must move on. You must move forward.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to do the show too because he knew that Gene would have wanted to do the show because he was kind of the only television show on TV that was actually talking about movies as opposed to just celebrities and gossip, which is what most entertainment shows were.
Gossip.
Yeah, that's all people usually want. Like they really just want to talk about movies, and that's.
But have you noticed politics has turned basically into celebrity gossip now too? Because so it's like, what are you doing, people?
It's the sleaze.
Stop it.
Sleaze sells,
I guess, yeah. People are paid to show up on the screen and shake their booty and whatever. I don't really care what they think outside of that because they didn't get there by their minds. I don't know.
Okay.
Is that mean? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just for the preference of how you
inarticulate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm also painting, so.
Well, that's
using my brain in more than one way at the same time.
Well, those are pretty much all the new films coming out this week. There's a lot that I glossed over. I didn't want to plow right into the onslaught of Christmas movies that we got coming out, like All the Money in the World, Downsizing, Father Figures, Molly's Game, probably a lot more than I'm forgetting. I, Tonya, tons of stuff.
I haven't heard of I, Tonya. I heard an ad today for Molly's Game, but I haven't heard of I, Tonya.
It's the Tonya Harding story.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
Yep.
Is she the one that broke the chick's leg, or is that a different skating person?
I honestly don't remember. I have to look that up.
It's not like it's honestly that important at this point. But maybe it'd be an interesting conflict in the movie if it is. It'd
probably be interesting. I've heard a lot of great things about it. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna catch up with those eventually. Other movies I haven't really talked about quite much. I don't want to reel too much because like next week we're gonna do an end of the year stuff. But I will say two other films I saw that were really great. Lady Bird. Everyone's been talking about Lady Bird. It's got like the best review film of the year. And yeah,
that's what we should have done with our date night last weekend.
Was go see Lady Bird.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh, we saw Tampopo.
Yeah, Tampopo was good. Yeah, it was good.
The best film to watch with food, man.
Well, we didn't.
Well, we got food
beforehand, and I tried to order. They have fried ice cream there, or like what is it also called, like baked Alaskas and other things.
Just call it fried ice cream.
But they have a sign on their window that says fried ice cream. So I was telling the guy we want to take the rest of our pho home and we're gonna have some fried ice cream.
Yeah. So
instead he brings out, the pho, and then he says it's in the bag. And I'm like, okay, well I guess we'll eat it at home. Hopefully it doesn't melt. But we get home, I take it out, and it's fried rice. Shrimp fried rice. And I really don't know where he got the shrimp from. So.
Is shrimp fried rice?
Well, also when we got there, they gave us egg drop soup or something, and we didn't order that either.
No.
We're just like, whatever.
Just they give you food.
I don't know. Well, last time we went there, I really liked it, but this time, I don't know. This guy really was not understanding me at all. But
we came. The good thing is like we prepared.
We're the only ones there.
We prepared for Tampopo because
it's like food porn. The movie.
Yeah, if we like, and you're like very susceptible to like food porn.
Gosh,
so
if
if we watched that film on an empty stomach, you would stop. You would stop immediately to go eat.
I'd be. I don't actually know of any places around here that deliver, so I'd be ordering takeout.
Yeah.
Basically, and sending you to get it. To be perfectly honest.
Of course you would.
You know the woman you married.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lady Bird is it is definitely up there. Like it's kind of it probably will get nominated for Best Picture. It's another one of those kind of like independent films. It's like coming of age, but it's very well written. It's especially well edited. They know when to cut it off, how to let the scenes linger, and just the actress. Sayori Saron, I know I'm going to screw up her name. It's a great name. She's a great actress. She's amazing in that. So yeah, it's definitely like everyone's saying like, oh, best reviewed film of the year. Just go see it. Trust me on this one. It is that good. And then the other one that I hope is going to be considered for Best Picture, I finally got around to seeing, is Mudbound, which is on Netflix right now, and it's about it's an ensemble drama about about couple guys who like end up going off to World War I, and they end up coming back home to America and find out like it's much different and they can't cope as well in this southern setting. It's pretty long, but it's got a lot of great actors in it, and it moves very well, and it's got some just great writing going on here. Tough to watch, pretty violent at times, but I really dug Mudbound, so I hope that gets picked up for Best Picture.
Interesting name.
Mudbound. It's all about mud. They do talk quite a bit about mud since it's about farmers, so. Yeah.
Better mud than dust.
Yeah. At least, yeah. There wasn't much they didn't mention much of the dust going on, so that's been good.
Yeah.
So, we're going to talk about Christmas movies. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, I used to say Die Hard. But I haven't watched it in a while. But we did just watch Home Alone, so I'll just stick Home Alone.
Just stick with Home Alone.
I like Home Alone. It holds up forever. Although if I watched Die Hard again, I'd probably still love that one too.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I was younger, I liked The Year Without a Santa Claus, but I don't like watching those movies as much anymore.
Well, yeah, some of the
don't hold up as much.
Well, some of the later Rankin Bass stuff, it doesn't hold up as well.
Is that one still Rankin Bass? I think that was a different studio that just did the same style.
Oh yeah, it might have been, yeah.
And they made a live action version of that, and I think maybe that partially soured my feelings towards it. Because I think in the live action version, they cut out Mrs. Claus and possibly the songs as well. And then it's like, what's the point? Because Mrs. Claus was the main character of that movie.
The point is live action ruins everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it was Ed Asner, but even he couldn't save it for me.
Yeah. Well, Ed Asner can't work miracles, people. He's really good, but you gotta give him some.
Granted, I'm sure I didn't watch the whole movie, because if I don't like something, I turn it off. So...
Okay. That's fair enough.
It's like, what? Where's my Mrs. Claus? Why aren't you singing the Heat Meister? That maybe that was why. Maybe I was just came in at the wrong scene or something.
Yeah.
I should probably try to rewatch it from the beginning.
I still think that it's actually playing tonight, and I saw people freaking out about it. It was the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
Yeah, I know you're in love with Charlie Brown. I don't get it.
I love it. Charlie Brown.
And you made the kid love it, so there you go. She's on your side.
Well, I saw I think I saw a few tweets of some people who were watching it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And some of these people were adults, and one of them was saying, because they were getting to the scene where he's talking to Lucy, mm-hmm. and where he's saying I just don't get Christmas and I always get depressed. It's oh, Charlie Brown's me.
Yeah, I have troubles with Christmas sometimes. I'm feeling okay this year, but I was feeling really anxious today. But you know more about that.
But that's actually
There's more to it than that. But
that's actually why I kind of love the Charlie Brown Christmas special, is because it's it's not every Christmas special where you see someone have that kind of a depressing conflict with the holiday going on like that. I mean, usually that will get resolved by some miracle will happen or something like that. And the most that happens, they dress up his tree and just people are nice to him. especially because he tries to do the right thing and just keeps screwing it up, and eventually gets a little help from his friends.
Yeah.
And just kind of sweet, just the way they get kids to voice it there. And just some of the sly dialogue they got there. And how can you beat the Vince Girardi soundtrack? That's just amazing.
Yes, I remember seeing you at the mall the other day when you decided to do the Charlie Brown dance when the song came on. So
you can't help it. Because, there's so many dance moves going on in that one scene, and they're just so ridiculous that you want to copy them. Oh, it's beautiful.
Well, and it has some good messages about how Christmas is more than just materialism and things like that.
Yeah.
So, that's good. Although that's not where my stress comes in.
No.
So, mine is more just trying to make things work with... having
the family,
all sorts of family. We have a kid. I have divorced parents, and just trying to see everybody and work with their schedules, and then having, if people want to do the big extended family ones on top of that, and it's I don't have the emotional energy to deal with all this and all these people. And
fair enough. Yeah.
Just too much. Not a party person at all.
Yeah.
Oh, you get a 3-day weekend this weekend, but I have to spend it with people the whole time. No, we have plenty of times where we can rest, so this year it'll be fine. This year will be fine. It'll be good. We'll have a good time.
Mm-hmm. But you were mentioning because everyone likes to mention Die Hard because you want to find the alternative Christmas films.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound like some kind of
it's
hipster. I don't know, what is the insult. What is the pejorative with that? But I do enjoy that movie.
Well, it's pretty much the consensus now. It used to be the the alternative things that Die Hard is a Christmas film. Now it's kind of universally accepted.
It is a Christmas film. It takes place on Christmas. They're having a Christmas party. It's the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just in there.
And it's
a Christmas movie.
That's the cool thing, though, is that it kind of opened these doors all these other
action movie.
Films you can consider Christmas related, like Lethal Weapon. And
I mean, when you go to the Christmas section of the lone remaining video store,
mm-hmm.
or one of the few remaining video stores, they have 2 shelves, or not shelves,
shelves.
Cases?
Yeah.
But it's not
Shelves.
just shelf. It's like shelves.
Yeah, shelves.
Like the two sets of shelves, you know, columns, I don't know, of Christmas movies. And if you look at it, you know, it is Die Hard, it is Home Alone, it is, you know, it's more than just, I don't know, Rankin Bass and Grandma got hit by a reindeer, which she never cared for. So.
And we used to do that at when I worked at Hollywood Video. Is like they would have like the end caps where like employees would recommend movies. And one year was one day we had like Christmas films, you know, like recommend for December. And so everyone was trying to like choose like the alternative ones. Like they chose Lethal Weapon. Somebody chose Gremlins.
And here you are with your Charlie Brown Christmas.
I did choose Charlie Brown Christmas. Although I was close, I knew I would get in trouble for it, but I wanted to put up there Silent Night, Deadly Night.
No, you didn't. Don't try to be cool.
No,
You're not cool.
I wanted to put up Silent Night, Deadly Night just because
garbage.
That's Silent Night, Deadly Night too, but yeah.
Oh. See. I have no cred. No cred.
Well, see, I actually hadn't seen that film at that point, and then I was like,
"Oh, you're terrible."
But
I love you.
If I had seen that film, then it would have definitely been up there.
That one's quotable. I don't know anything about the first one. I only seen the parts of the second one.
The first one's only memorable just because it's a guy dresses up like Santa Claus goes around murdering people.
Yeah.
That's about the base appeal of it, which is kind of cool. But then, yeah, you get Silent Deadly Night 2, which is mostly just a clip show and then a really bad actor trying to replicate the murders of Santa.
Yeah. So what are the bad ones other than like Christmas with the Cranks, which John Tron does a magnificent review of? Go check it out. I love that one. I love John Tron.
Christmas with the Cranks.
So I love John Tron.
Without question, the worst Christmas movie is Saving Christmas.
Yeah, is that the one with I'm not gonna be able to think of his
Kirk
name.
Cameron.
Kirk Cameron. Yeah. Never gonna watch that movie.
Oh, if you really want to torture yourself, this is the ultimate terrible Christmas film. Okay, so it starts off with Kirk Cameron sitting by the fire in his Christmas festoon home, and he's got his mug of hot chocolate, and he's saying like, "I love Christmas. I mean, I really love Christmas.
I'm gonna make everyone else love it because that's the central focus of Christmas movies."
So he's going nuts. He's got the hot chocolate, takes a sip. He's like, "And I love hot chocolate." And it's like, I believe you. Okay, settle down. But he's like, "But you know, some people don't like Christmas, and that's what this movie's gonna be about." Now, when you say that, you think that, okay, he's gonna like go after like, you know, the atheist stuff like that. No, he's actually going after the Christians.
Yeah.
Who like really don't like celebrating like Christmas because they think it's too commercial. So
it's not just that, Mark. I was reading something today that maybe I was listening to a documentary. I can't keep this stuff straight. That was talking about when this country was founded, they didn't celebrate Christmas because that was an English thing, and they were trying to separate from the English.
Yeah.
And change their holidays, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. The thing. And also, there's some sects of Christianity that don't celebrate Christmas because it's not.
Yeah.
Actually.
It's never directly stated what the lineage is for like the or what the allegiance is for like the detractor here, because what it is Kirk Cameron's family is holding this big Christmas party, and there's one family member there who's just like, it's not having fun, so he ends up going out to sit out in the car because he's not digging it. Well, Kirk Cameron can't have that.
So it's like Christmas with the Cranks logic, where you weren't celebrating Christmas, you monster!
Well, not quite like that. More in the sense that, like, Cameron... I guess, like, now that I can think of it, yeah, it is kind of like, Cameron is kind of like nosy, saying like, oh, there can't be a Scrooge at this Christmas party, I gotta do something. Oh, by the way, the guy who's kind of like not digging on the Christmas party is apparently, it's an actor, but he's playing like Cameron's brother-in-law. Okay. He has the best name ever for this. Christian White is his name. And so he goes to sit in the car, and then Cameron follows him out into the car, and he's like, "Well, what's wrong?" He's like, "Well, just there's all this imagery I don't like here, and it feels like it's portraying what Christmas is all about to like me as a Christian." And for the next hour,
What?
it's just Cameron trying to defend all like the Christmas decorations and the Christmas tree as being perfectly representing of Christianity.
Oh, really? Because where in the Bible does it say to celebrate Christ's birth with trees?
Oh, he addresses that among other stuff with the most ridiculous lines.
Hey, how do we actually have someone in the chat? Empress Pookie. She says hi.
Oh, Empress Pookie. Yeah, I've seen her a few ones. Yeah, you do.
Hey.
You're talking about saving Christmas. But yeah, it gets so ridiculous to the point that, and I'm not joking here, one of the last points he makes is that the Christmas presents are kind of like the houses in Jerusalem.
What?
I'm not kidding. And like the film, it has to stop by this point because I know what's coming next. I know what's coming next. He's going to talk about hot chocolate, and he's going to talk about it like it's the blood of Christ. It's going to happen. So it's like, we gotta stop.
I am not a religious person, but that just does not seem right to me at all.
Well, like probably like the most ridiculous thing is the running time of this film. It's only about, I think it's like some like 68 minutes or something like that. But it feels really long because it's mostly just him in the car just talking. And the scenes that aren't with him talking in the car, it's like you cut back into the party, and it's just some non-interesting scene. Like at one point, there's this fast-talking guy saying like, "Hey, great party!" And he starts like babbling, like I don't even know what he's talking about. And then we cut back to it later, and there's this guy and he's talking like a conspiracy theorist, saying like, "Did you know there's a war on Christmas? Everything's being destroyed. It's going nuts out there." And he's speaking in this kind of like Hunter S. Thompson type speak to everyone, and there's like, I'm not quite sure. Is he a parody of this, or is it like a legitimate like Attack on Christmas type thing? I don't know what he's doing here.
No idea.
And by the
I
time
don't think people want to hear about this though, because we dropped 2 viewers talking about this shit.
I don't care. I'm gonna finish this.
You keep going. More power to
But
you.
I'll just finish it by saying, like, by the time they get to the end there, the film's only about an hour. They've run out of time. So they cut to a dance sequence in which every member of Cameron's family in this film has their own part to, like, do a dance. And then that doesn't fill enough time. So we cut to B-roll of them having, like, Christmas dinner and talking about Christmas. But that's not long enough, so then we cut to all the bloopers that go into it. And we just barely get to like 70 minutes there.
I don't get why people care so much if other people do or do not celebrate their holiday. I really don't understand it. I mean, so like, we sort of celebrate Christmas, mostly just as with our extended family. We kind of do our own little winter solstice thing.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it didn't really happen though because our child smelled so horrible in the car.
They don't need to know that. Jeez.
I'm being a bad mom now. Sorry. It's okay. She took a bath. She's good now.
I loved the
I wanted to look at the lights though. Dang it.
the interesting thing is like this film was only in theaters for like I think like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, like it made its money back just from the collective that went to it, but it only cost like about like $1 million or $2 million to make.
Well, yeah,
which
it's all Kirk Cameron complaining to people.
Which
about
seems a little high for what they're doing here.
Maybe it was Kirk Cameron's pet project, and he dove a lot of money into it. I don't know.
He might have. Well, no, I'm pretty sure it was because like after it came out, like the Rotten Tomatoes score came out, and it was very, very, very low. And he claimed that it was all a conspiracy of atheists that were going for it. So he urged all his fans and all Christians to push up the rating, to push it up higher.
But atheists celebrate Christmas too, so
yeah.
Who cares?
So it actually went down lower after he did it.
Because he was being an ass.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the worst Christmas movie. Although, like, Christmas with the Cranks is kind of lovable just for how horrible it is. In the same sense of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. That's for sure. I'm trying to think of, like, most of the other, like bad Christmas films, I think, are just kind of a little bit kind of like more like lukewarm. Like they're not good, but they're just kind of, there's stuff like, like Deck the Halls that are kind of in the vein of Christmas with the Cranks. And then just like Milquetoast One's just like trying to reap some comedy from, the whole commercialism of it all. Although there is kind of a soft spot in my heart for Jingle All the Way. Just because it's so
bad it's good. I don't know.
Well, it's so bad.
I like Schwarzenegger movies. I don't care.
Well, yeah, I love Schwarzenegger movies, and it's so bad it's good, but it's also because of how ridiculous they portray, like how they portray Minnesota.
Well,
I mean, like, yeah, Fargo's exaggerated, but like, no, Jingle All the Way is the real joke on Minnesota.
And the child actor.
Yeah.
Do you remember who that is?
Yeah, that's little Annie, little Anakin.
And his acting is no improved here because I believe this movie came first.
No, there's one scene where I did believe him.
Oh, really?
There's a scene where Schwarzenegger is freaking out that his kid is going to end up as terrible as Sinbad's character, drinking booze on Christmas Eve, and he has this hallucination where Harold Lloyd is like sitting at the bar and like the get up saying, "Here's to you, Dad."
What the heck?
And that scene I kind of dug.
I couldn't stand the scenes with the kid, honestly, but maybe I'm still just being like, ugh, you were in Star Wars. But
to be fair,
I don't know. I'm only like a casual Star Wars fan, not like a big Star Wars fan, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But no, I just don't care for his acting that much, and he came off like the character was quite a brat, I thought. So
yeah.
But then I have a kid, so I know that they can be bratty.
Yeah.
I try to make sure mine isn't, but that's hard. Schwarzenegger in the movie's not a good parent, probably. Maybe. I don't know, but Phil Hartman wants his roles. But
Phil Hartman is the only reason to see this film.
He wants to get in that he wants to get in that booty.
Cookies.
Oh, she's in there. She's in the shower. Do you want me to go get her?
No! Taking your wife's cookies is so good. Put the cookie down!
Phil Hartman. I was taken from this world too soon.
I think one time I nearly choked watching the film just because there's that great line where right before Schwarzenegger's about to leave to go buy the toy, like he's talking to Phil Hartman, who like his last line was like saying, "Hey, it's a little icy out there. You might want to wrap some chain around your tires out there, okay?" And Schwarzenegger just under his breath says like to wrap you in chains.
Ooh,
and Phil Hartman's like, "What?"
What? Oh, that's great.
Like one big, I will say, like, I won't get into the nitty gritty. One thing I will point out though is like they stress there's a winter parade they have there that's like a big Macy's Day parade down I think they stage it down going down Hennepin during the day with all these large displays.
Is that? It's certainly not the Holodazzle.
No, and I'm glad they didn't call it the Holodazzle because
it's very clearly not.
No, because like by comparison, it's like the Holodazzle is just like this tiny parade of like kind of lights that's held at night.
Yes.
Like
while
a few.
You're freezing your butt off.
Yeah.
I don't think they do it anymore though, do they?
I don't think so. No, they stopped it.
They stopped doing it a few years ago.
But I was just thinking like.
They stopped doing the Marshall Fields thing too because Marshall Fields isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Macy's isn't even there anymore. So.
Yeah. But that's the like if anyone came expect it. No, we don't have that.
Yeah. Don't bother.
Don't
well, no,
wait. We do have a winter parade, but if they came to see like the Holodazzle, be like, that's it. It's at night and it's just lights.
So Empress Pookie says, "I am so confused. What is going on? What is going on, man? What is going on?"
We were talking about Jingle All the Way, the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Where he runs all around the Twin Cities trying to grab the Turbo Man doll.
Gotta get that doll.
The Christmas classic. It's kind of a cultish thing now. Especially like I don't know. I dig it just for how weird it portrays Minnesota. Like they portray KQRS like a
completely different kind of station. That's for sure. I'm like, that's not Tom Bernard.
Well, they portray it like hey, it's KQ. We'll keep on rocking while you're filling the stockings. Like they would never in a million years say that.
Tom Bernard, who is the morning guy.
Yeah, it's still there.
He's been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Bernard is, oh man, that's like the inverse of his personality. Completely.
He looks nothing like Martin Mull, who portrays the on-air person.
Has Tom Bernard ever talked about that movie?
Yes, he has. He said yeah, in Jingle All the Way, I'm played by Martin Mull.
Well, is Martin Mull really playing him, or is he just playing a guy at KQ?
He's just playing the guy at KQ, but he's the only guy you see at KQ there who's on the radio.
Yeah, so. And Tom Bernard's the primary guy who's known for a KQ. So.
Yeah.
This silliness.
I don't think they had off because I think that part of the film happens in St. Paul, which I don't think they were in St. Paul at that time. So.
Yeah, I don't think are they in St. Paul now?
No.
I didn't think so.
No. But I love how they're able to quickly run around all the way to the Twin Cities, so I can jump all the way from the Mall of America on Christmas Eve all the way over to Minneapolis.
Yeah, good luck with that. You might have a better time now that we have light rail, I guess. But that's still going to take a while.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where, and they kind of do this around.
But it's a movie.
Well, yeah, but they kind of do this thing around here where, they kind of, lump every city into, one place. It's because I used to work in, New Brighton, and they say, oh, you work in St. Paul. It's no, I work in New Brighton. Yeah, but it's defaulting to St. Paul. So you're in St. Paul. It's you're either Minneapolis or you're in St. Paul. One or the other.
Yeah, gosh, I think even banking websites automatically change your thing.
Yeah.
And then the person's confused when you're telling, well, I'm actually in this city, but it switched it to this city.
I even the film is kind of aware how much it's generalizing there, because the police in this film, I think on their badges it just says Twin Cities Police.
That's not a thing.
It's just not a thing. Just oh, it's the Twin Cities. It's all one
Twin Cities is more like a slang. I mean, they do put it on mileage signs sometimes, right?
Mm.
But it's a slang thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the city. There's no city called that.
No,
it's called the Twin Cities because St. Paul and Minneapolis.
Yeah. But they're all the same thing.
They have their own police forces.
Whatever.
And there's some towns kind of in between there, I think.
All you Minnesota cities look alike.
Aren't there 2 small towns or something in between Minneapolis and St. Paul in some parts?
Yeah, there's crap spread out all over the place. Yeah. Another Christmas film I gotta mention just because I absolutely love it every year is Muppet Christmas Carol.
How can you not love the Muppet Christmas Carol? The Jim Carrey Scrooge is totally forgettable.
Yeah.
But I can watch Muppet Christmas Carol every year. And I could watch Bill Murray and Scrooged every year.
Yeah.
I can watch both of those.
Well, it depends, who's in the lead. And, Michael Caine in the Muppet Christmas Carol is amazing.
He brings his all to every role he's in, I swear.
Well, yeah, he's. Well, yeah, I mean, anyone who's watched his acting tape knows that he never phones in a role. He's been in some bad films, but he never phones it in. He always feels like he's bringing something to these lesser roles.
So Empress Pookie says, "I can't get up now." So have you fallen? Do we need to call an ambulance?
Can't get up. Oh.
Is it you've fallen and you can't get up? Do you need the clapper? No, wait, that's not the one. It's Lifeline?
Life Alert.
Life Alert.
That's the thing.
I need to sleep more.
Get Amazon makes them.
Got the cat.
Oh,
I
okay.
had my cat earlier, and I kissed her, and then I had fur all over my face.
Ah.
And then Mark said, well, don't kiss the cat.
Don't kiss the cat.
It's too late now.
Hindsight.
Hindsight is 20/20.
I mean, yeah, for Scrooge, I mean, the go-to for most people is George C. Scott's version, which I really like. I think it's probably one of the quintessential best, but there's just something about Michael Caine acting sternly as Scrooge around all these Muppet characters that just makes you love him more, because he's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
He's not trying to ham it up like the other Muppets, because he knows that if you do that, you're going to look like the odd guy out.
But what about Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island?
I think he's
not
okay.
As good? Not as good?
I don't think he's as good just because I think he's trying to... Because, Tim Curry is a guy who will eat scenery.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's kind of in combat with the Muppets in that film to see who can get in the most jokes as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which
maybe.
is kind of like a hard battle to watch because
It's not like he wrote the script or anything.
No.
I don't know. I haven't verified that.
But it's kind of hard to watch him like battle against the Muppets because he's kind of like fighting for the like more funny parts with them. Whereas with like Muppet Christmas Carol, it feels like Kane, like he's in his role, like that's his film, and then you have these Muppets off to the side who are doing their thing, and it's kind of, you got this duality working between them. It's kind of like how Michael Jordan works in Space Jam.
I loved Space Jam, and I don't care what anybody says.
Well,
I love it as an adult. I don't care.
Well, people say like, oh, Michael Jordan is horrible in the films. Like
no, he's not.
He's horrible.
He's the
playing
straight man.
But he's horrible playing himself. What?
Yeah. How can he be horrible playing himself? It's not like he's doing a Tommy Wiseau or anything.
No, he's playing Michael Jordan, and he's playing it straight as Michael Jordan. I mean, up until that point where he steps his cartoon arm, but yeah, it's mostly just Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Only Michael Jordan can tell us how Michael Jordan would be, right? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good movie. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, I like it too. Let's see what I was doing. Oh yeah, if I remember correctly, you thought that you were surprised that like Gremlins was a Christmas movie.
I just haven't seen it in a really long time, so I don't remember. It's hard for me to keep all this straight. I don't have your movie memory.
Okay. I was just saying, because like there's like that one memorable scene where the girl talks about how her dad tried to come down the chimney as Santa Claus and ended up dying in there.
Ooh, yeah.
And that
we don't have a chimney, so we don't have these problems.
Yeah, that part is so weird, but I think it's essential to kind of like bring the film back down to what I was saying. Like, by the way, we're actually a horror film, just in case you forgot. Just because all the antics with the gremlins, like it's dark and gruesome, but they're, the gremlins are kind of goofy and wicked and all that type of stuff. Just a little reminder, yeah, this is trying to be a horror film. So
there was a sequel, right?
Oh yeah,
I didn't see it, but that was darker, wasn't it?
Actually, no. The sequel. The sequel was incredibly goofy because because it was directed by the same person. It was directed by Joe Dante. Mm-hmm. And I think he negotiated this thing where he realized they wanted to do a sequel to Gremlins. So if we're going to do a sequel, let's make it insane. Let's make it really, really insane. Let's make it take place in kind of like this Trump Tower type place where you can have like a TV studio and scientists and have all these weird cameos. Like there's cameos by like Paul Bartel and Hulk Hogan and Leonard Maltin. They couldn't get
popcorn.
What was it?
Cold hot popcorn.
Right now, the projection booth.
Empress Poopy says Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a usual for my family around this time of year.
Oh sure.
Which I don't. Have we showed that one to our kid?
Yeah, she's seen it.
I know she likes Frosty the Snowman a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that we ended up watching some atrocious sequels of Frosty the Snowman.
Oh yeah, there's.
I wasn't sure if she watched. Well, the current meme that I've seen going around Instagram, which probably isn't like the best meme place, but there's a bunch with "You're late for elf practice."
That character is so amazing, just because he overreacts to everything. Hurry!
You can't be a dentist!
No elves are dentists.
They sure do need them if they're gonna just eat candy for every meal like they do in the movie Elf, right?
He serves a purpose. It's a market that should be cornered at the North Pole.
Well, this is kind of relevant. I saw the play Elf.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to the movie. Just putting that out there. Although, generally, I am a little jaded by plays. I guess, because I haven't really enjoyed the last few musicals I've seen. But I do really like the movie Elf.
Well, any adaptation comes with with stipulations, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But that's a good thing. Is like Rudolph was like the first to get to the punch there. It's a memorable adventure. It's a great story. It's like Rankin Bass's animation for being as homebrewed as it was still really holds up to this day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've showed it to her daughter like a few times. Like I own it on VHS, so just the way to watch it.
She does like to watch things on VHS. I used to have Year Without Our Santa Claus on VHS. Do we still have that somewhere?
I think we might,
would have
yeah.
absorbed it into your collection if we did.
It probably is somewhere, yeah.
Because I know we combined our stuff and we pruned out a few things, mostly my things. But we did keep a few of them. I think we kept that one. I think you kept like my version of the anime Little Mermaid, and then we had like 3 copies of Princess Mononoke for some reason.
Yeah. Well, those are actually kind of like, yeah, we're going to keep Little Mermaid because it's rare, but I got that on DVD now.
We should still keep the VHS. My aunt.
Yeah, I still got the VHS. I still got it down there.
Yeah, don't we have like 2 VHS players too?
Oh yeah.
We went to that estate sale where the lady had like 7 VHS players for some reason.
Yeah.
Some new in the box.
New in the box. Perfect.
I think we bought a few there.
Or actually,
gave one to somebody.
One VHS tape that might be considered kind of collector's item is the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, do you have that one?
I don't actually. I think my parents might have that one. That one is the VHS is considered collectible because it's kind of the director's cut of it, and it's mainly the thing is it hasn't had much value mainly because people didn't like the director's cut.
Bad, huh?
Because
they had that extra song, didn't they?
Yeah, it's for the one extra song where like the young Scrooge is saying goodbye to his potential fiance, and it's a very sad and somber song, and it was cut from the theatrical version, but for the VHS they put it in. And
then the kids watched it and they're like, what the heck is this?
And people didn't like it. And it's actually became a running bit where someone made a video saying, like, this is how we watch it in our house. And they get to that scene and they press the fast forward button and just skips to it. It's like, yeah, we all did that. And so, like, for the DVD version, they've taken it out. So now the VHS is kind of a collector's item for the director's cut.
Okay.
The thing is, like, no one wants the director's cut, so... Depends how much of a collector's item it is. Yeah, what she's gonna do. Love Muppet Christmas.
Come here, kitty. It's okay. Come to Mama.
What's another one? Oh, one that I haven't watched in a long time, but a lot of people recommend as one that you should probably see is there's one called Rare Exports.
That's a Christmas movie? That doesn't sound like a Christmas movie.
No, it is, because it's a Christmas movie. I forget where it takes place. I think it takes place in, like, Sweden or Norway. One of those snowy places. And it's where they end up capturing a version of Santa Claus that's actually a vicious beast killer.
The horror.
That's trying to kill everyone. So.
Wait, I just had a thought. So is the Krampus considered a Christmas movie or a
Actually,
Halloween movie?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. A Christmas movie?
That would
the
be
Krampus. The thing that just reminds me about, menstruation. The cramps.
That's...
The Krampus.
The Krampus. That would actually make a good double feature with Gremlins. Because it's in the same vein. It's in the same vein of like a Christmas film that's kind of dark and bloody, but also goofy. Especially for considering it's about a family that's snowed in who hates each other. And the Krampus starts sending in like killer toys and gingerbread men to collect everybody.
I just know about the real Krampus is that's a German thing, and what he does is he comes along with Santa and he drags you out of bed if you've been naughty and beats you.
Yep.
Hi, baby. This is Artemis.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
okay.
You can take her to get shaved tomorrow or groomed or something because she's all gross.
But yeah, you were mentioning Scrooged.
Yes,
and
it's a good movie.
Scrooge just held up better over time. I remember, I think people at the time weren't too hot on it for some reason.
Why? It's Bill Murray.
Yeah, it's Bill Murray.
Is he just not as big in his time as he is now?
No, that's the thing. At the time, he was huge. He was incredibly huge at the time. But I think that's the problem is like people had such a high expectation of him that they thought that this might be a little down for him because I think he's playing like kind of like the bad guy here a little bit.
Well, he turns it around.
Yeah,
because that's what Scrooge is all about.
Yeah.
Come on, Bill Murray comes off as a jerk in a lot of movies he's in.
Yeah,
well, it's kind of his shtick a little bit.
Well, he embraced it he embraced it later on when he went to other films late in the 90s, like Kingpin is the one where he plays the villain. He's really good in that.
Well, and he was in St. Vincent's and That's what it was called, right? Not
Yeah.
misremembering the title.
Yeah,
And he was kind of like a jerk with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Pookie says in Germany they have a parade of the Krampus that has so many tall men dressed as the Krampus. That sounds terrifying. All right.
I think we know. I think we know what they're gonna do for the sequel now.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I can't wait.
It's a goal of mine, or maybe just a fantasy to someday visit Germany. Maybe we can go see that.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll have to practice my German. I skipped doing Duolingo today
Yeah,
because I forgot about it.
but
So,
you're doing. You said a little German.
yeah, it says I'm at 50%,
Okay.
but I don't do the speaking thing because I think these phones we bought are crap.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's
should
fine.
have bought the next version up, but I cheaped out.
Yeah.
And the audio is garbage, so I think it's not recording it right.
But yeah, Krampus is
Can't say anything and it'll...
Krampus. Everyone to say it's a brilliant movie, especially when they actually finally show the reveal of the titular monster when he's kind of dragging everyone down to the pit of hell. Like, he looks terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, good move, Pookie. I'd stay away from the Krampus probably too. I don't know. I'd like to see it once, maybe. Yeah. She says she saw it, and she's like, maybe, but not today. Yeah.
It's a very effective horror film in that regard, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm a chicken.
There's a good mix of terrifying stuff in there and hilarious stuff.
I'm sorry, the cat must want some food. I gotta go feed her. She just
Okay.
keeps coming over to me and she clearly doesn't want me to pet her.
Okay. I'm trying to remember, because I only remember, I've watched like more of the Silent Night, Deadly Night films, but yeah, obviously most people remember like the second one or just the first one for the appeal, but if I remember correctly, like when they get into like the fourth and the fifth film, they get entirely ridiculous with like a sinister toy maker, and there's like black magic involved, and it goes completely nuts. But another one that I just remembered right now, which is campy as all hell. There's one called Santa Claus, and I think it's spelled like CLAWS, kind of like claws, something like that. And it stars Goldberg as the wrestler Goldberg as Santa Claus, who's apparently revived after some curse that's kept him like banished to the North Pole, and it's all of a sudden lifted, and he goes off on a killing spree. And the very first victim that he kills is Fran Drescher, and she does the laugh. So like, Santa, and it's like, and he's like, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, and he murders an entire room of people that are having dinner. So,
Did he kill Fran Drescher too?
yes, he did. I'm trying to remember the death he did. He did a couple.
Kitty wasn't the only one that was hungry. I got food too.
Oh. I'm trying to remember the deaths he did. Like, one of them involved a turkey. I think he like suffocated. No, wait, he took like a drumstick and shoved it down someone's throat to kill them at one point.
Jeez.
I think he used forks.
That's some aggressive veganism right there.
I think he used forks to stab someone at some point, and it goes completely.
Grizzly.
It goes very off the wall. I think at one point he kills somebody with a menorah. It is bizarre.
Cross culture.
Yeah.
It's inclusive.
Yep. It makes tons. If you love Santa puns, there's tons of puns he lays out before he kills people.
Nah, isn't there some with snowmen? There's a horror movie with a snowman.
Jack Frost.
But then there's that other one that's similarly named. That's a heartwarming family movie.
Similar. It's the exact same title, actually.
Oh yeah.
And they came out around the same time. Yeah. So
oh
there's.
my gosh, that's amazing. I can imagine. Did you work in the video store when this happened?
I wasn't working there when it came out, but
Darn.
but yeah. Well, it was easy to avoid because they're two different genres.
I know, but some people are really dumb.
And I wish I'd seen it, because then it would have gone up on the shelf for recommendations. But yeah, so apparently within like a year time span, there were two films called Jack Frost. One was a very sappy drama with Michael Keaton coming back to life for his family as a snowman. It was made by the Jim Henson Corporation. It was very articulate and detailed, but it still looked freaky as hell. And he ends up helping his kid beat up some bullies and helps him with hockey tryouts. The other film they released within a year of that was a horror film in which the snowman comes to life and murders a bunch of teenagers, including one woman that he kills in the shower. And I think
one of my friends in high school. Wait, I don't even remember how old I was when this came out.
This came out around like 90, 97, 98.
Okay, yeah. So, definitely you weren't working in the video store then.
No.
I'm pretty sure by the time high school rolled around or something, one of my friends told me that he had seen that movie, and that she gets it in a.
Yeah, there's a scene where
sexual way.
This really cheap snowman tries to rape a woman in the shower, and it is so ridiculous.
Ice queen.
There's also a sequel to that.
He likes this movie.
the Jack Frost horror film, or the Michael Keaton one?
The horror film.
Oh, okay. It's lovable. I actually love I think I might love the second one even more because I think that then he has like these snowballs that are alive too, that are trying to kill people. And there's a brilliant scene where he's like attacking people by just like chucking snowballs at them. And there's at one point where somebody comes out of their house to hear this, like people are being murdered. It's like, what the hell is going on? And the snowman just decks him and punches the guy through a wall. Somehow this snowman with these like weak little arms is able to punch this guy through a wall.
Dogs still eat cheese, right?
Maybe. We'll find out. But then there's that great scene where he's just pelting people with snowballs. Or no, wait, I remember it was funnier because he punches the guy, I think he punches him through a wall and lands in someone's bed, who immediately starts screaming, saying, "Oh my god, get out of my bed!" And then he comes out of the room and is like, "What the hell's going on?" And then Jack Frost starts throwing snowballs at him, just pelting him.
Well, that's rude.
It is so bizarre, and I love it so much.
Hi, baby.
And the fact that it came out the same time as the Michael Keaton movie is nothing short of brilliant. Is that what you drew in the time we were talking?
I painted it. It's not finished, obviously, but things had to dry.
But it was blank when you started, right?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
I did that whole thing while you were talking.
Oh, nice. So it's time elapsed.
Yeah. Come here.
What? Are you going to get the dog in there?
The dog is begging me because I had fed the cat.
Dog wants screen time.
The dog wants attention and food because she always wants food.
Yeah, they're old.
No, the dog's just, at least this breed of dog will eat and not stop eating, and she always wants food.
Yeah.
And she'll let herself get super engorged, and she'll start throwing up. Right, baby.
It's weird. I'm trying to remember a lot of these Christmas films, because actually I assembled a list for a potential book I'm going to write, but yeah, there's I think those are like the most like crazy campy ones. I mean, everyone has most like their go-to ones, like the George C. Scott Christmas Carol, and you got Rudolph, you got Charlie Brown. Trying to think of some other ones. The Polar Express doesn't hold up as well, but I remember I really dug it at the time.
I think I liked it at the time, but I think the CG looking back looks creepy to people.
It looked creepy, and it was one of those things I was willing to accept at the time because it was still during that.
That was good for the time.
Oh yeah, for 2004 with like motion capture at the time, it was impressive. But I think I was impressed more with the logistics of the film and the themes rather than the actual animation itself. Like I like the fact that it was all motion captured. I like the lighting that they did. I like the fact that Tom Hanks was playing all these different characters, including the kid.
Did he play Santa in that as well?
He played Santa. He played the conductor. He played the hobo. He played...
everybody.
He played the kid. Which is bizarre to watch like him in the motion capture playing this kid because he's kind of trying to be like down on his... Because like Hanks is pretty tall, so he's trying to get like down on his knees, trying to look like he's trying to look like he's smaller than he is because he's supposed to be looking up at Santa. So he's supposed to be looking up at himself.
That must be weird.
It must have been pretty weird, but Hank seemed like he'd go with it. I really like the hobo character he played in that.
Yeah.
Because you're not sure believe in Santa. You don't want to be hoodwinked. You don't want to be robbed. You don't want to be taken for a ride railroad. Just like, man, he threw himself into that role. Oh, I think he played one of the puppets too in that.
Tom Hanks really brings it, you know.
Oh yeah.
That's Tom Hanks, man. Right. What I remember mostly though is that one of the other kids was the same voice as Mandark from Dexter's Lab.
Oh, that's right. Eddie Deason.
The nerdy kid.
Eddie Deason is his name, and he looks as nerdy as he sounds.
There you go.
He's done tons of cartoon voices,
Does
but
he look like Harold from Red Green?
Very close, yeah.
There you go.
The few times I've seen him in a few films, like he's been in films like small films like Laser Blast and stuff like that. No wait, yeah, he was in Laser Blast. He kind of had like the big glasses. And he had kind of a perm going, so.
You just hear the dog harass the cat.
Oh, did he?
Wow! Oh. Don't walk near me.
I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Ember Spooky says Groundhog Day was a great movie.
It is.
It was good.
Not Christmas, but for a holiday film, because there's no real Groundhog Day films, so.
Yeah.
So yes, it's the king of Groundhog Day. It's in my book, The Best Worst Weird Movies, as the best film, because it really does hold up over time.
I didn't know that. I haven't. The only one of your books I've actually read was the first one you wrote, which was Thief on a Starship, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I like science fiction.
Well, Groundhog Day is like when you first saw it, you thought like, okay, it's a good film, it's a good idea for a concept. But the more you watch it, it's got deeper themes to it too. Like it's like if it wasn't clear like on the first viewing, it becomes clear after more viewings that it's a very, very religious film. Like because it's essentially from what I
gotta rewatch it. I think.
Well, the central concept from what I've heard is that the script is sort of based on this kind of like Buddhist philosophy that something about like leading like 1,000 lives. Because I think at one point in the script they said it was he was gonna go back like at least a few hundred times in this lifetime.
Gosh.
And
that sucks.
and yeah, it wouldn't quite work for the time, but yeah, it's that kind of, and like I like how Groundhog Day has become this kind of format for other films.
Marcy, our child and I were watching a Disney Christmas anthology, and one of them had a Groundhog's Day type theme where Huey, Dewey, and Louie were like, I wish it were Christmas every day. And basically they have Christmas every day until they get it right.
That's good. I'm just surprised that no one is in that before, because they've done this with other films. Like they did it with the most prominent one is like not sure how it was called Edge of Tomorrow when it came out, but it's called Live Die Repeat.
Oh, we saw that one. Well, I mean, obviously you saw it. I saw it. You showed it to me.
Yeah.
I think it's weird that they changed the name though. But that's the Tom Cruise movie, right? Yep,
the Tom Cruise movie where he keeps dying on the battlefield and keeps going back and back and back. So, and it's great because you refer to it as like it's like Groundhog Day meets Halo. So.
Yeah. Why'd they change the name?
Because it didn't sell well. It was hard to market that movie because it's so original and so weird that it's tough to sell a film like that.
People are like, oh, it's Tom Cruise. No, people still go to Tom Cruise movies.
No, they're like ew sci-fi, because science fiction's a little hard to sell like that.
People don't like science fiction as much as us, right?
Well, people don't like hard science fiction. That's the thing, like the ones that are like high concept. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's another weird one called.
It always makes me happy when I run into people who do, but I like the comedic science fiction too.
It's a really terrible film, but I kind of dig. But it's kind of an interesting premise. There's a film called Premature, which is. I haven't heard that one. It's kind of an interesting idea. It's about a kid. It's about a teenager who keeps reliving the same day, except like instead of like going to sleep and waking up on the same day, it's after he climaxes.
Oh. That's one hell of an orgasm.
So it's a bizarre concept. It's not as fun as it sounds, but it's kind of
so hard that your day starts over.
Yeah. Groundhog Day, the kind of the film that started it all with that. It's fun to go back and watch, even for how repetitive it gets. Great holiday film, especially with like films you color for all holidays. Like the last one we watched was like Rise of the Guardians. So,
yeah, that was kind of a cute one.
kind of an all holiday film.
Yeah.
There's there's certain ones you can kind of
Did
bend
she like that one? I think she did.
I think she did, yeah.
I'm not sure she watched the whole thing.
I dig it. You see Santa's a big beefy Russian with tattoos.
Tim the Unlikable thinks you're Jewish. He's not. He's Jewish. He's Scottish. But people think that. So
I don't even have my full mutton chops or my black and white scarf to make you think that.
But that one Halloween you did go as the Rabbi Freddy Krueger.
I did.
And our one of our friends or acquaintances or whatever
was Jewish.
And she guessed it right away. So that was fun.
So someone did recognize Rabbi Freddy Krueger.
But yeah, no, not Jewish.
No, sadly not Jewish.
Sadly not. It doesn't matter.
Well, because I could play it off, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of them represented in Hollywood, so.
I was trying to think of. I'm trying to think of like some of like I'm trying to think of like a really good like Jewish film, but oh no wait, I saw him this year, Manesh. There's a great film about the Jewish community called
Isn't that
Manesh.
like one of the first ones in a long time? Or
It is
ever?
the
I don't know.
no, it's the first film in 70 years to be entirely in Yiddish.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of a big thing, and it's very very much of the culture and how this one single dad strives to make his mark and still matter within the Jewish community.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I say that really because there's not a lot of great films just about like the Jewish holiday. So like I'm trying to think of stuff like
Cool.
I don't want my mind to keep going back to it, but 8 Crazy Nights. It's so bad. And it's
You're getting some kickback on your Last Jedi review. Tim the Unlikable says, you gave Last Jedi 4 out of 5. I would have given it a solid 1 out of 5. Different strokes for different folks, right?
Yeah. And I could see why you gave 1 out of 5. I've read a lot of reviews and the criticisms, and I'm aware why people don't
and
like it.
I forwarded you one, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've listened to.
I can see why you like it.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of people for
Yeah.
that, and I completely understand why people don't like it. I mean, I dug the film. I liked what it did with the characters and the themes, but what can I tell you? I liked the film with the space wizards and the ships that blew up.
Okay.
And it's like oh, you just like the explosions.
You do just like the explosions.
I like more of the explosions. There's more in there. There's more to Star Wars than that. People just don't like it because they don't like what they did to Luke, which I completely understand. I completely understand that they think that Luke went out like a bitch. So.
It wasn't just that. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but you told me enough about it, and I read enough about it, where I think I understand the position is that they don't like. Has everyone seen this movie? Like, if I give spoilers, is that going to upset people?
I guess you do a spoiler alert. Just try to give a little bit.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
Luke had considered killing Kylo Ren or something like that. And
yeah.
People didn't like that because he saved he was giving Darth Vader a second chance. Why would he want to even consider killing his own nephew? I gotta let the dog back in.
Yeah. And I think I think that's people don't like the direction that Luke took because we all have this great vision of Luke being like the hero who always knows the right call and is able to save the day and learn from his mistakes. And I get that people don't like that because he's following into the same things that Obi-Wan and Yoda did. Where he's basically saying like man, the Force is pretty messed up. I'm gonna go into hiding because this isn't working out. And that's the same thing happens to Luke here, only like it's a little tougher for him because he trained a whole bunch of Jedi and ended up screwing him over. And he ended up getting he panicked because he didn't want the same thing to happen. And so he made a lot of mistakes. That's what happened to it.
I'm kind of wondering if the problem with this movie was that it was poorly set up with the last movie.
Probably, yeah, because there definitely wasn't a plan.
Tim the Unlikable says, yo, I haven't seen it. I just was talking crap. Thanks for the spoilers. If that spoils the movie for you, then
wait a
you
minute,
shouldn't bother seeing
Wait, back up. You said 1 out of 5 stars. You trolling me, man.
Obviously he's trolling.
Oh, boy.
That's why he was asking you if you were Jewish, maybe. Nope says, rest in peace movie experience. I barely see movies anymore, honestly. I can't part with the money to sit in a dark room for that long.
But I can get you to come out to a few of the press screenings with me.
It's Last Jedi. Someone...
was that?
Muzio Gaming was asking, what's the movie?
Oh, it's the movie, The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi came up. We were talking about that. Spoiling it for people.
Spoilers, blue milk comes from a cow giraffe.
Gross. All right.
I love that scene because it's such a weird and gross scene, and for some people, it just ruined the movie for them to see Luke drinking blue milk, and it's like, oh no, the origins have been spoiled with the blue milk.
Papa Spice says, let's say a man just ate a taco. It's filled with joy and wants to watch a cheeky rom-com on a Sunday night. What would you suggest?
A cheeky rom-com.
Do you even watch rom-coms?
I've watched a few romantic comedies. Most of them are kind of... I'm trying to go into my memory to find some. One good one I would try looking out is there's one called... I think it's called Man Up, and it stars what's his name? Shaun of the Dead. Have
I seen this one?
I don't think you have. It's kind of a romantic comedy where this woman is, she's going to a party for her parents and she's freaking out and she doesn't know what to do, and she ends up running into I'm gonna screw up his name, Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and they have this kind of like, oh, I'm never gonna get in a relationship. Well, I'm never gonna get in a relationship. And it's kind of like, proceeds down the typical route. They'll run to each other and they'll get lovey-dovey, but they're great characters and it's great acting.
The only rom-com I can think of off the top of my head that I really enjoyed was that one with David Tennant where it takes place on an island in Scotland. I really liked that one.
And it's got what?
Huh?
It takes place on an island and
It's Scottish island and it's got David Tennant in it. It has that woman from Boardwalk Empires that has the accent.
Oh.
I've seen her in a lot of things. She was in Cousin Bet too, which that wasn't a rom-com. No, it was historical. I think it was meant to be funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Muzio Gaming says you're talking about Simon Pegg, which... Simon
Pegg, yes.
I knew, but...
Yeah, he's in a little romantic comedy called Man Up. And it's actually pretty good. It's pretty well written, and I really like the characters that get together. Because the thing, like, romantic comedies, like, you don't watch them for the story. The story is always the same in romantic comedies. I
kind of like the story in the one that I was bringing up. I can't remember what it's called, though.
But that's the same, like, the big appeal...
Oh, it's The Decoy Bride. I liked that one.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that one with me? I can't remember.
I watched that one with you.
Yeah, I liked that one.
It's not bad, yeah.
That one was funny.
But
cute.
Most of the reason that you watch romantic comedies is just for the leads, if they're likable, because most of the time they're just going to end up going through the same motions until they end up together, and it's all about how much you like watching them and how much you want them to come together.
And they both worked, I thought.
Yeah.
I also saw 27 Dresses, but I wouldn't recommend that
one
as highly.
No, I would definitely not recommend like 27 Dresses, or I saw Bride Wars. Definitely not Bride Wars.
I didn't see Bride Wars.
No.
I don't actually watch, even without you, do I really ever watch rom-coms. I think I said, I think I saw the movie, He's Not That Into You. Is that what it was called?
Oh,
yeah. I saw He's Not That Into You, but I don't know if I liked that one. I don't know.
I just remembered one from this year that would kind of be worth checking out. It's called Band-Aid. It's about like a 30-something couple who are considering having a kid, but they're not sure if they want to, and they have problems in their relationship, but they end up somehow working them out in song form. So they end up forming a band where they just scream out all their problems. And I forget who the main stars were, but it stars Fred Armisen as the supporting like drummer, I think, in the band.
So Papa Spice says that the reason most rom-coms are the same is because people know exactly what they want when they start watching the rom-com, or at least have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
Yeah, it's from the story perspective, yeah. It's like
those Marilyn Monroe movies I watched, are those considered rom-coms? Maybe the Some Like It Hot?
No, not quite. Not quite, because it doesn't feel as intimate. It feels a little bit more madcap, I think.
Yeah, I think it's weird that you watch rom-coms without me, because isn't it usually the woman who makes the man watch them? Or is it just you don't want to torture me that way? The only time I maliciously made you watch a movie was when we watched that Julia movie, and I didn't even like that
Julie
one.
and Julia, yeah.
I didn't even like that movie.
Well,
the Meryl Streep parts were good. The Amy... what's her name? Yeah, the Julie scenes were crap.
Yeah,
and I like that actress, but I did not like that movie.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I watch pretty much, as a film critic, I watch pretty much like everything now. So
yeah.
And that's why I try not to watch as much with you, because I don't want to subject you to the terrible stuff.
Didn't we watch some terrible children's movie and we decided not to show it to our kid because it was so awful?
Not because it was so terrible, but just it wasn't that good. I
didn't want to watch it again.
It was the Ninjago movie.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of one when he used to review DVDs. But the Ninjago movie was just kind of bland.
Yeah.
Muzio Gaming wants to know what the best movie to watch is when you are in pain.
Ooh. That's... in pain? I'm trying to think... Well, I'm trying to think, like, what would be the criteria
okay, so after I had the baby, I watched Hot Fuzz. It's like the first thing I did.
I guess for context, yeah.
I guess.
That was the most hilarious thing ever. You come home with the baby, first it's like, what you want to watch, hon?
Ooh.
Anything you want to watch? Hot
Waxing
Fuzz.
sounds painful. I've only ever had my eyebrows done, but...
Yeah.
Ooh. Bloody Almuzi.
Ooh.
Ugh. Oh, yeah, you're responding to them getting waxed today. Yeah. Ugh, that sounds unpleasant. I thought about it. No.
Probably something that wouldn't remind you of pain, I guess. So something light.
I'm sorry. This is still going with the whole waxing thing.
Well, definitely not the 40-year-old virgin, then.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a good one.
Not that film. I don't know, Home Alone, so you can watch other people be in pain, not you.
There you go. I swear, those guys would be dead.
Yeah.
After that first brick hit Marv in the face, he'd be dead in the second one. Ooh, on the back. Ooh. I'm sorry. I mean, that's less sensitive to the areas I've considered doing it to, but... the rest of the body to go. What are you, the 40-year-old virgin?
Tree of Life, because I guess if you pass out from the pain, you can just pick up anywhere.
I didn't see that one.
Or any Terrence Malick film, I guess.
Sorry. This is really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a weird criteria. I would have to make a list of like...
Oh, no, it's because of the whole waxing the back line, I think.
Oh, yeah. So I guess it's easier to pick out films not to watch from that category.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to take your mind off hair.
Just watch a movie that you really enjoy that makes you laugh. Because, I was in so much pain after I had that baby, and then I watched Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. Hot Fuzz. I think after that we watched Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
That would be the original, because this was years ago, so.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to fit into the Catwoman. So, by into the Catwoman, you mean into the suit?
The suit.
Or do you mean into like a statue? Just the way you phrase it, into the Catwoman suit. Yeah.
Okay. Do you mean like the original one, or like the Tim Burton one that looked like a couch?
Or do you mean the Halle Berry version?
Or do you mean the Halle Berry version?
The leather suit, yeah. That would be the better version. Don't do the Halle Berry version.
Yeah. That seems like it would be tough to do anything. And like, I imagine like I want someone to re-edit Batman Returns and like add in all like the squeaks and like the pulling of the material when they move.
I think that'd be like feel really hot and uncomfortable to wear.
Oh my god, yeah. It may not be worth it.
Oh, you're planning pretty far ahead for Halloween. Bye, Amber Spooky. I hope you're still here when the delay catches up. There's a kind of a lag in between when we talk and when it shows up for you, I think.
Have a good night, Pookie.
Yep. Yeah. Catwoman for Halloween. Sounds good.
Actually pretty good, yeah, because it's not that very common. You don't see many people with that, because that's the most complicated Catwoman outfit ever.
Yeah.
Just to get into that, oh my god.
Although I saw a cosplayer where they had their kids dressed up as it. But the kids looked really unhappy in the picture, but they said it was because it was cold out and they were outside.
Well, Batman Returns, it takes place during winter. That's a Christmas movie. I brought it back, see?
Brought it back around. But the pictures we have on the side and what you put in the title says The Greatest Showman, the post and Christmas movies. And we're all over the place, man. All over the place.
We covered a little bit everything.
Well, and I noticed in the poster that you have in the picture for the post, it just says Streep and Hanks. Way larger than the title, and it's just kind of...
Yeah.
It just looks like Streep Hanks, the movie.
It's a selling point.
You gotta get... I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's billing. You get straight to the point. It's like whoa, what's this film? It's like Spielberg, Hanks, Streep. Go. Okay.
I don't see Spielberg, but maybe it's so tiny. But when you look at The Greatest Showman, the largest part is The Greatest Showman, and the other part I can see is La La Land.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's the same. Like, it's the lyricists of La La Land, but you got to read the fine print. The lyricists, not the people who made the music, just the people who wrote the lyrics. It's not the same music.
The cover for The Greatest Showman reminds me of this photographer on Instagram that he edits all his photos to have that blue haze in the background, and then randomly there's Christmas lights. I don't know. It looks nice.
Oh man, you should have been at this screening because they.
Is it pretty?
They put on the gimmick for it. Like they had someone in there dressed up as P.T. Barnum.
You're right. You should have brought me. What's wrong with you? What kind of a husband doesn't bring his wife to see P.T. Barnum? No.
They were handing out these goofy plastic top hats that he was wearing.
And you didn't bring one home?
They're plastic. They're pieces of crap.
Give it to the kid. Would you wash yourself in the ocean for a year if it meant that if you didn't, you could never eat pizza again in your life? I don't understand the question, Papa Spice.
Would you wash yourself in the ocean? What's the trade-off here?
I'm confused. So if you do wash yourself in the ocean, you can never eat pizza again, but if you don't, you can't have pizza again? Is it bad to wash yourself in the ocean? I need all the facts here. What do you think? Do you understand?
I ain't going anywhere near the ocean.
So you can never eat pizza again. Actually,
I'm fine with that.
Pizza's probably bad for you, even though it's delicious. So I could probably live.
Does it count?
I did eat pizza all last week, so maybe not.
Can I have bagels?
If you don't wash yourself for a year in the ocean, you can't have pizza again.
If I don't wash in the ocean for a year, I'll live without pizza.
We don't live near an ocean.
No, but I don't trust the ocean. I saw those James Cameron movies. I don't trust the stuff down there.
I do love pizza, but you know what? I've been in the ocean before, and it was in the it was the Gulf of Mexico. That's considered part of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
No, I've been in the actual ocean too. I've been in the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
The Florida. I've been on the other side of Florida.
I went to the coral reef near Hawaii and nearly cut myself. So no.
Yeah, I just makes me nervous when I can't see things in the water.
Yeah.
So I don't even swim in lakes anymore. So
Yeah.
I probably couldn't wash myself in the ocean.
No.
Also the salt.
Yeah.
Probably stings. I get a lot of cuts on my hands from the cat and just being clumsy.
Screw pizza. I'm gonna find the loophole of bagel bites.
Doesn't that count as pizza?
Does it? Can I have bagel bites?
Bagel bite? Does bagel bites count? Papa Spice? Wait, does garlic bread count? Like the cheesy garlic bread? Because we had pizza last. We ordered that cheesy garlic bread, and I'm like, this is pretty much just eating pizza without the sauce.
Yeah. I know they say that it's pizza on a bagel, but it's not really pizza. It's just bagels with cheese.
But you can eat pizza anytime.
You can eat
if you have a microwave or an oven around.
You can eat makeshift pizza.
I mean, technically, you could just put bread in the toaster, put sauce on it, and cheese. You probably wouldn't even need the toaster. Okay, what's the new question?
This is like a Space Ghost question.
I like Space Ghost.
Yeah.
You must. You're always watching
I love it.
Can think of movies that have pizza in them, but we talked about that in the stream yesterday on
Ninja
my
Turtles.
channel. Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
That always makes me want to eat pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You have to imitate every animal you see, or you have to try to hug every guy with a beard. But can I do both?
Imitate every guy or do every animal you hear?
You have to imitate every animal you see, or you have to try to hug every guy with a beard that you see. I think that could be dangerous for me, the second part, but I'd still like to do both.
Yeah, you should do both.
Can we do both? I already imitate the cat when she walks by. So.
No matter what you choose, everybody wins.
Yeah, there you go.
Breaking Bad. Everybody wins.
It's like that movie you told me about where Colin Farrell decides to be a lobster.
The Lobster.
Can't Find Love?
Yep.
It's not a Christmas movie, but
no,
if you really wanted to stretch it, you could maybe do it.
if you're alone on Christmas, want a movie about being alone. The Lobster.
No, that sounds really sad now. Or is he happy as a lobster? Does he find lobster love?
He doesn't become the lobster.
Oh.
He escapes.
I'm a little disappointed.
Shit, spoilers, damn it. Now people are going to watch The Lobster.
You're terrible. You're terrible. Terrible.
Oh, no, I spoiled the movie that's been out for 2 years.
That's like saying, I am your father. Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Oh, spoilers.
Oh.
I didn't finish Empire. Although it is staggering to me how many people I've heard haven't seen the trilogy. So
I don't really care. I actually know a lot of people who haven't seen it. It's
I know.
fine.
It seemed weird to me as a kid. I don't know, because I watched those like religiously. So like,
yeah, but not everybody has nerdy parents like us.
I know.
So Papa Spice says he has a harder one. I'm sorry. I'm assuming that you're Papa. You know. You have to always try to cut in line whenever there is a queue somewhere, or you have to throw away children's toys when you see them playing with it.
I can't do that to kids, man.
I don't think I could get away with that.
No.
I'd love to throw them away when I see them on the floor, though. I could be the jerk that cuts in the line, I guess.
You'd be the jerk cuts in line.
Always ticked me off when I was a kid, though, when people would cut in the lunch line.
Yeah.
It's like, we're all hungry, you jerks.
I'd feel less bad about doing the cutting in line. Although unless somebody came after me like a
cut in line, Muzio. Take that. No, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, man.
Being a jerk to adults is better than being a jerk to kids, isn't it? Isn't it?
I guess so, yeah. I don't know.
You're British. Good for you.
Saw that movie Super where the hero smashed someone in the head for cutting in line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Rainn Wilson film where attack people with wrenches as a superhero. Shut
Museo
up, crime!
Museo Gaming says, fuck the kids. Am I'm hoping I'm pronouncing everybody's screen names right.
It's one of those. If you have kids, you don't have to do anything with kids. So
what? Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's hard to watch. After I had, I had a friend of mine. Her mom couldn't watch things where kids were being harmed, and before that, I'm like whatever. But after I had the kid, it's like, oh, I see now.
it changes.
Because
Yeah.
it'll change your dreams too, and
Man,
it's scary dreams.
Grave of the Fireflies hits you a lot harder as a parent. Like that, even people who don't have kids admit that's sad as hell. Like it's sadder when you're a parent.
This one's hard, Papa Spice. Whenever you hear a dog bark, you will pee your pants, or every time you go outside, birds are trying to poop on you as best of their abilities. I think I'll have to go with the dog bark one, because it's not that hard to buy the incontinency pads, and
Quit making me pee.
if you've ever had a baby, you're at risk of that anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, if it's the birds, just bring umbrellas. Every day is raining.
Fly under your umbrella.
And
It's like the movie The Birds.
Oh,
the
man.
birds try to poop on people. They're gonna crawl in through your chimney.
oh no,
And they're gonna poop on.
oh no, it's Seth Rogen's The Birds.
That is something he'd do, isn't it?
Yep. It'll be so good. The birds will come and they'll poop all over you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I know he made that Apocalypse movie we saw.
This is the end. Yep.
Yeah. What other movies has he made? Oh, did he do Zack and Miri Make a Porno? No, he was in that one.
He was in that
was
one.
a-
Yeah.
That was a Kevin Smith movie where he's trying to be Apatow or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. What other movies has he made?
Sausage Party.
Oh, duh. I should have remembered that one. That's foolish of me.
Pineapple Express.
Oh, I didn't.
Which I'd I'd argue is his better film.
I guess I hadn't realized he was the one who directed.
I'm fairly. I think he at least wrote it because he writes these with I think Eric Goldberg, I think, and I think Goldberg directs most of them.
All right.
So.
Every day you will receive one compliment from a stranger. They do really mean it. Or once every 6 months you will get 1 minute of free shopping.
Compliments.
I never really believe compliments from people. Is that bad?
If they're genuine.
There's a lot of times where I feel like people give me disingenuous compliments. And on Instagram, I really question people's motives too.
Yeah.
But I don't care that much about 1 minute of free shopping.
No. It's not like...
You gotta up your ante, man.
It's not like supermarket sweeps. It's not as enticing. Especially when you realize that supermarket sweeps, they never actually changed out the produce there, so all that crap smells.
Gross.
Yeah, it
What's
hurts.
the motivation then? Did they get the equivalent then? Because I'm sure they don't really want rotting food.
Well, they don't want... It's like set dressing. It's like, oh, we want real oranges and apples there.
Gross. But wouldn't they be all
Yeah, they
moldy?
Yeah, but they don't focus on it.
I don't touch it.
They turn it.
I don't want to touch it.
Just they dress it up. It's
Then
all
they spray paint it.
Yeah. It's all lies.
So with lies, why couldn't she just use wax fruit?
Supermarket of lies.
I don't like game shows though.
There's the coupon of truth.
Doesn't Ellen have a game show now?
Yeah, like a board game type thing. I don't know.
But why? Does
'Cause
it
they
mean
all
she's
have-
not going to do her other show anymore?
No.
I don't watch
Shows-
that anyway, but because I don't
I
watch
don't know.
daytime TV either, so
I don't watch daytime TV and I don't watch game shows.
don't really watch much in the way of actual TV anymore. Anyhow, I just rely on Netflix to get me things every now and then when I have a minute to actually watch something.
Yeah. It's weird. Netflix is game shows now.
Ew, why? I'm sorry. I feel like Netflix is going downhill.
Because they have everything.
You watch a sunset every day and cheer and clap as loud as you can, or you can only give bananas as a gift to people. Hey, I'll give bananas as a gift to people.
Potassium all around.
Here is your banana. Can I like draw on the banana or carve the banana? I've seen that. Although I always feel like that's a waste of a banana. Doesn't that seem like a waste of a banana?
Kinda, yeah.
It looks beautiful, but it's like, but someone could have eaten that banana. Maybe they eat the banana right after. I don't know. Make some banana bread out of that. Or maybe it's wasted.
Maybe.
It's a mystery.
What is these weird dares giving us?
Everyone needs a hobby.
I guess so.
But you'll be forever known as a banana person. I don't care.
Banana man.
Wasn't there a parody of salad fingers called Banana Fingers?
Yeah. Didn't go anywhere, but it's a joke. Barely salad fingers.
That was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Dig up old
Can it
Flash.
be a dare stream? No.
No. Well, answer your questions, but you're not gonna do like spin the bottle type shit.
Why would we do spin the bottle? We're the only people in this room. And I kiss you all the time anyway, because we are married.
Whatever it is, like your farts on fire.
Truth,
No. This ain't Jackass.
No. We talk about movies.
Talk about movies.
I can show you my drawing. Well, it's not a drawing, it's a painting.
Here's a painting
I
there.
didn't finish it though. It's hard to do this and talk with the monitor in front of me at the same time. On Wednesdays, I do it where I do the
Yeah, on your
camera's
channel.
on my paper, and he talks. So
I think dare movies if you get them.
you have to ask everyone you see eating for a bite, or whenever you see a spider, you have to call the cops.
What the?
I don't think the cop
What the
one would
hell?
be a good idea.
Good gravy. I now know how like Jeff Foxworthy felt on that Space Ghost episode.
Well, just talk about a movie then. A Christmas movie.
All right, Lethal Weapon is like everyone says Die Hard, but I'm going to argue like Lethal Weapon is one of the better action Christmas movies.
Oh, yeah?
Just because it's fun watching Mel Gibson go nuts and crazy, saying you want to go get nuts, and then Danny Glover just like stammering the whole time, going rings, 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 and just the ending.
Figs.
No rings, rings. You gotta come down.
I thought maybe you were tying it into Christmas by going figs and nuts.
No, it's not in the fact that just like Shane Black likes having movies set up at Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Like he did Iron Man 3, and it takes place at Christmas. Just because it's a Shane Black movie. Even
Now I'm trying to remember Iron Man 3. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
All those Marvel movies are starting to blur. I do want to see Thor Ragnarok, but I haven't gotten around to it yet, because you get to see all the movies and I get to stay home and babysit. Well, it's not babysitting when it's your own kid, but you know what I mean. You get the idea. Wasn't there a movie with Schwarzenegger? Yeah, we did talk about
Jingle
that
All the
movie,
Way.
all right. Already, he likes Jingled All the Way.
With the rock'em sock'em jetpacks.
And we were talking about how it takes place in Minnesota, where we live, and
And how it's even more
wrong.
well, it's even more like we like to say
it's
like
funnier for us because it's in Minnesota, and we're like, that's not what KQ is.
yeah, like we we like to argue that like because Fargo is well known, it's like Fargo's exaggerating, but Jingle All the Way exaggerates it more. Like there's no Macy's Day parade during the day. There's a night parade that's nowhere near that big. There's
well, it wasn't
no
put on by Macy's.
There's no way in hell you would make it from the Mall of America all the way over to Minneapolis on Christmas Eve in that amount of time. KQRS is not in St. Paul.
And he's not peppy.
And there's no such thing as the Twin Cities Police. There is no Twin Cities Police.
Twin Cities just means Minneapolis and St. Paul, which are two large and separate cities.
Yeah, we haven't fused yet into one into one colony. Yeah.
We haven't all fused into Panem yet either, so
despite
tie it into movies, right?
Despite how like they lump us together by zip codes.
Papa Spice says, "You guys know your films, don't you?" He knows the films. I follow along enough because I live with him, and it kind of
rubs off.
But also kind of, I can't look at movies I used to like the same way because of him either. You guys see The Big Short? I think we did. Did I see that one? The Big Short? That sounds really familiar. I'm pretty sure I did.
I'm trying to. It does sound familiar, but it's getting jumbled in my head with The Big Easy and The Big Chill.
We watched so many movies.
I'm trying to recall The Big Short. All I can think of is the Big Chill.
I'm looking it up. It's got Ryan Gosling in it, and Steve Carell and Christian Bale. Yeah, we saw that one.
Yep.
I know we saw that one. It's the Wall Street Girl.
Oh, yeah.
About the subprime loans. Yes,
yeah,
I liked that
loans.
one, and it scared me, of course.
Yeah, it was very.
It did what it meant to do. So,
very effective.
I liked it.
Ensemble drama. Yeah. Yeah, The Big Short is definitely one of those like important historical films.
Gosling. Yeah.
Oh, Gosling,
it's
man.
5 a.m. there. Jeez, what are you doing listening to us?
He's waking up. This is morning routine.
I suppose I do listen to some YouTube people in the morning.
Or he's just hearing to go to bed.
You have a good one. A good morning.
Have a good morning.
Woozy says we are cool. So
cool.
Thank you for the compliment.
Thanks, Wooz.
I think that's how it's pronounced. Muzio.
Gaming. Wooz gaming. Like that thing with The Shape of Water.
Huh?
They got the director wrong and the writer.
Oh?
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, right! Yeah! I still want to see that movie, but I think, you could just see them for free, and so we could probably justify spending the money. Mm-hmm. But around this time of year, babysitters get a little tighter.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait.
Well, yeah, and it'll expand, like, because a lot of the films I've seen this month, they're all in like limited release, and they're just now expanding. Like, Shape of Water is playing at a few limited theaters, but it's.
Oh, I see.
I think it just starts expanding this weekend, and then it might go a little further.
I don't want to go downtown to watch it. So.
Yeah, I think The Darkest Hour is starting to expand now.
Oh, really? I would have thought that would have been a wide release, but
it might have wide last week.
You gotta be careful around the holidays, just because I feel like everything's so packed.
Yeah.
And especially with Star Wars, because when we saw The Force Awakens, we were in the first row both times we saw it.
Yeah.
And my neck was stiff for like 2 days after that.
The good news is that everyone will be at Star Wars, so you can get in to see these smaller films.
Oh,
so.
We saw The Force Awakens, and we brought the kid, and she just rolled all over my lap the whole time. It was weird. Yeah.
But there's a lot of other.
All the popcorn.
There's more stuff expanding. Like I mentioned, The Post. It's coming out. Yeah, it's out in New York and LA right now, but it's not gonna be in. It's not gonna be in like wide markets until around like the 12th, I think, of January. So.
Darn elitists.
Well, they're trying to wedge in these films much. Like they want to like push them out for like Oscar time because they know that it's gonna be dominated by genre stuff. Like the embargo for The Greatest Showman didn't lift until it came out on Wednesday.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing The Greatest Showman. It looks... I know what you said about it would probably work better as a stage production.
Yeah.
But I think it might... I guess I'm judging mostly based off of the brief parts of the trailer before I skipped to the YouTube video, and then by the poster. Music. But it looks like visually it would probably look nice.
Yeah.
It'd be good to watch on a bigger screen.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's just, like, I only just didn't, I was mild on it because I didn't dig as much as the saccharine part. I mean, the music.
You're not into musicals either.
No, but...
I'm more of a musical person than you. You like La La Land, but you're just not as into musicals.
Yeah.
You're more into sci-fi. I'm more into musicals, and neither of us are big on rom-coms, so...
Yeah. Well, I like sci-fi when it's hard sci-fi, but
Yeah, I like the goofier sci-fi
it's
and the hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
And you like the hard sci-fi.
well, yeah. Just because it's hard, because like hard, like high concept sci-fi is in kind of like limited supply,
Mm-hmm.
and it's harder to get into it just because it doesn't get as much accepted. Like remember, I came out of Arrival, the Denis Villeneuve film from last year. It was amazing. It was one of my favorite films of that year. And it told it well, but I remember coming out and there was this really squat, pudgy lady who came out saying like it was stupid. Aliens didn't shoot anything.
What's that have to do with her body type? What? No, I'm joking.
Right.
I don't give a shit.
But yeah, she's just kind of like, yeah, this didn't have the aliens, because I know she went to Independence Day and she loved the aliens shooting the laser, and then come to Arrival and it's like it's an aliens teaching an interesting language. Just like, I don't care, where's the Doomsday Machine? They didn't blow anything up.
I don't know. Where do you fall on Hitchhiker's Guide? Oh, Muzio wants to know, what do you classify as hard sci-fi?
Stuff like
Really technical stuff, usually, I'd say.
stuff that you could kind of put in like kind of like the Twilight Zone area. So stuff like Arrival, like Blade Runner 2049, Primer. Most people go to Primer as like a hard science fiction.
I'm familiar with Primer.
It's a small
When did
independent
that come
film.
out?
2004, I think.
Okay.
It's a small independent film about a couple guys who met a time machine
Oh.
and then try to figure out like the best way to go back in time and not screw everything up, and they make all these calculated decisions and end up not working anyway. So
Yeah. I don't know. I like some of that. I'm more into like more corny stuff. I like
You like the
Bill
space
and
opera stuff.
Ted, and I like Back to the Future. I would consider both of those to be a form of science fiction.
Yeah. And I like those too.
Oh yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
You do. I really like. I kind of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, but anyone who's read Hitchhiker's Guide,
Yeah. Well, even if you've seen the miniseries.
yeah, does not compare.
Because I like the miniseries infinitely more than the
Yeah,
movie.
Hitchhikers, I don't think that would be hard sci-fi.
It's not quite. No, it's kind of like that goofy Terry Pratchett type sci-fi.
Well, Douglas Adams is his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the movie, I don't know. I'd rather sometimes watch the 80s series, which I do have on
Yeah.
DVD. But the movie I liked when it came out, and I still kind of like it. But there's some dull parts in that movie.
Yeah,
it's more quirky. Like it's more of a more comedic science fiction.
Yeah.
Whereas hard science fiction is the science fiction that takes itself seriously.
Yeah. Or at least takes its concept seriously.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like Hitchhikers, like the premise is built for comedy, but then it's dryly delivered to make it more hilarious. And yeah, that's the problem. It's like the movie, it works better as a miniseries because you can tell like the movie, it's very sporadic with the scenes that work, and then the scenes that just kind of feel like, well, why was that here? It's like, well, it happened in the book in this part, so we had to wedge it in. So it just kind of feels like you're only seeing like a handful of episodes and not really getting much. Yeah.
They did some weird things with that. And then, he did part of it, so they tried to make it be like...
Yeah.
That it was all him, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Clearly wasn't. Is Aliens hard sci-fi?
It's tricky, because, at its core, it's essentially a haunted house film. But the themes...
I hadn't thought about it that way, but I guess...
Well, because
right.
they're trapped, in the space station. But in terms of the themes it's dealing with, they're a little bit higher because, you do have kind of that trying to discover, like, how the xenomorphs were formed and the whole spaceship they discover. So I'd say, it kind of skates the line of being, like... I think it kind of rides that line between, like, hard science fiction and just, like, a slasher genre picture. Which Ridley Scott is pretty good at doing that, like, because he did like with Blade Runner, it walks that line between being high concept science fiction and a detective story, just kind of blends the two together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of tricky there, but I would probably say Alien. Not Aliens though, because that's Aliens is like straight action. It's a great action film. That's it. I would almost argue Alien 3 kind of for high concept.
Say, Luzio says, I say it's more of a jump scare thing. I can see that.
Yeah, like I said, it's a haunted. It's got the haunted house set up, so definitely built for jump scares. But it's one of the better ones because I like it because one of the big criticisms of the slasher genre is why doesn't the character go here? Or why doesn't the character do this? And so if you lock it down and put it in a box, then it becomes more fun to follow. Like an Alien, you're trapped on the space station.
Mm-hmm.
There's really nowhere you can go there. Like with Nightmare on Elm Street, you're trapped in a dream. It's hard to really escape because you don't know if you're in a dream and you can't really prevent yourself from falling asleep. So yeah, just a little bit like high concept like that. But yeah, it is mostly built for like jump scares with like the haunted house aspect of it. So, but fun haunted house.
Yeah.
I would probably say, I know people argue with me, but I do think Prometheus is kind of up there with high concept science fiction. I know a lot of people didn't like it, yeah, because it goes through the typical slasher genre stuff, but I kind of really dig Prometheus and even Alien Covenant, even though I know a lot of people were either mixed or just flat out hated Covenant. So
I didn't see it.
I dig it. It's trying some new stuff.
I have such sequel fatigue at this point. I'm just done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a funny little emoticon. They have funny emoticons here on
They're neat.
emojis or whatever you want to call them on Twitch. Like random people's faces, and I don't know who these people are, but they're funny.
Yeah. I'd like to see them in the Emoji Movie. I don't know where they were.
I never want to see that movie, and you're gonna tell Marcy that it doesn't exist. I don't know. It's that it shouldn't exist.
We do not speak of that film in this house. Not after the horrors I've seen. Not after Emoji Movie.
I feel like a lot of these emojis are inside jokes, though.
Probably. I could probably look them up if I cared.
Top 5 movies for both of you. Oh boy. Christmas movies or just regular movies?
I think they mean in general.
In general?
You go first.
You jerk. Let's see. I liked Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That one always was good. I haven't watched it in a long time though.
Mm-hmm.
I used to really like V for Vendetta, but I've also not watched that one in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Labyrinth is pretty good.
Not Labyrinth, man.
Hot Fuzz?
Yeah. All the genre pictures. Love it.
How many have I got so far?
I think 4? You got 4, yeah. You can do one more.
Help me out here. What movies do I watch excessively to the point of irritation for you?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's not my favorite. And then I'd have to pick one from it. Which I guess I could do. I like the 4th Harry Potter movie.
I think the 4th one, yeah.
Though the 5th one was a lot better than the Harry Potter book, in my opinion. But the 6th one was trash. So.
Ghostbusters?
The original Ghostbusters does hold up and it's very awesome.
It's pretty high up there.
Yes, Harry Potter are the easiest to watch. I don't know, it's just background stuff sometimes. Most of the time when I watch things, it's just to have something on while I'm doing other things these days. I used to watch movies a lot to watch a movie, but I don't know. I've always watched movies while I'm painting or drawing or something too.
Yeah.
I end up watching a lot of kids' movies because that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Moana's amazing.
Yeah.
Kubo's amazing. But I've said that before.
Yeah.
What are your top 5?
Let's see. Number 1 at the list is definitely Jacques Tati's Playtime.
Never even heard of it.
It is. It's kind of like the third film in Tati's Mr. Hulot series, where it's essentially just this kind of Charlie Chaplin type character
You're like
who's
talking another language now.
there's this character called Mr. Hulot who wears the hat and runs around with an umbrella or a cane. He's kind of like a Charlie Chaplin type character. And it essentially follows him and a collection of tourists as they tour around kind of like a modern Paris. This film was made in like the 60s, but they portray like Paris as it's sort of like this new age, new technology stuff. Like they built all these crazy stuff. Like there are these like kind of like chairs that kind of like you sit down on them, you kind of sink in, and then they kind of rise up again. There's like some ridiculous stuff like they go to an expo where they've invented stuff like the door that doesn't make any noise when you slam it, or the vacuum that has lights so you can vacuum in dark places. And it's just them and the tourists going to all these different places, and I love just watching the film because there's all these like different scenes where there's so much going on, and you don't have to focus on any one thing. Like the opening scene in the airport, there's so much to look at. There's a janitor who's struggling to clean the floor. There's a couple having a conversation. There's tourists who are getting off the plane, and there's kind of Mr. Hulot in the background there, and they're all converging in this one shot, and you can look anywhere in the scene and there's something interesting happening with any of those characters. And the film lets you look back and forth and try to, go wherever you want. And I love how it's kind of like a fly on the wall approach to the film. Like you're mostly just standing back, just watching all this crazy stuff happen to Mr. Hulot and the tourists. And sometimes you follow Hulot, sometimes you go and follow the tourists, and all kinds of crazy crap happens. Like they have a great finale at a club that's opening for the night, but the construction isn't finished. So the manager and the waiter, they're running around trying to make sure like the place doesn't fall apart. At one point, the ceiling caves in, but all the tiles fall, so it kind of looks like it's an art installation. So everyone just kind of.
This sure sounds elaborate. Why don't you leave something so that people can watch the movie?
Well, yeah.
Reveal it all.
I'm saying is just that it treats Paris as such a fun microcosm, and it's in French. There are subtitles, but you really don't. There's barely any dialogue used. You can enjoy most of it on its own.
There was a movie I thought about when you were talking about this movie. I'm sorry, I'm so disrespectful.
No, go ahead, really quick.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I could watch that like all the time, man.
Definitely.
And I wanted to say it in case you said it. I didn't want to look like I just. Oh yeah, that was great.
I wasn't gonna say it, but it is one of the most quotable movies.
No, we've never been to Paris.
No. But I like how they portray Paris here, even though most of it they built for this film, including there's a point where he gets lost in this kind of maze of a cubicle farm. And cubicle farms weren't really a thing in the 60s, so they built it specifically for this film. Yeah.
They sure are a thing now, because I live in one most of the day.
Well, it kind of wasn't that, because you remember that film, was it The Apartment, where they didn't really have cubes, they just kind of have the bullpen of all the typewriters?
It smells a bit. The movie does? Or Paris?
Paris.
Oh, okay. That does make sense.
That sounds about right. Yeah, the Paris they portray is not quite accurate. It's kind of like the idyllic version of the future of Paris.
Oh.
But it's fun to get lost within it. It's got some great shots, and I love it. Just the flight. And I don't know, I saw it at the right point in my life. I saw it after a breakup, and I felt alone. And here's a film where it's just kind of it's inviting. It makes you feel like you're a part of the city because all these other people are a part of it, and you get to follow around with them. It's really good. Number two, I would probably say, and this could go in any order, but number two, I'd probably say Vertigo. Just because it's beautiful to look at.
That's what I would have said was your favorite movie if someone had asked me, because that's what you usually tell me.
Yep.
So.
It's haunting. It's creepy. It's got great cinematography in it. My favorite Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
Number three is The Seven Samurai. Although
that's a good movie too. I like its other incarnations.
I like The Magnificent Seven. Yeah.
Well, I like the space one.
Oh, Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah.
With the boob ship.
That one was fun.
Yeah, The Seven Samurai has inspired so many crazy other great films like that. But yeah, I mean, you could pretty much replace it with any Kurosawa film like Yojimbo or Sanjuro or The Hidden Fortress, any Kurosawa film. But Seven Samurai, I would probably say is top of that list just because of how influential it's been. Um, so that was 3. Number 4, I would probably say it's a really tough one. Actually, yeah, number 4 I would say Casablanca.
That's a good. Movie.
Because yeah, like I said, it's the perfect script, great characters, it's wonderfully shot, and just it's so many memorable stuff about it too. Just it's so great to get like entranced in that kind of that different world back then. And then number 5, I'm just kind of because actually, you know what? Number 5, yeah, I'll go Fargo. Fargo really holds up for me just because it hits so many emotional levels. Like, cause it's goofy at times, it's grisly at times. Like, there's like there's great aspects. I love how Marge grows as a character in it. Like how she's kind of like this inept police officer who she interviews William H. Macy. She's kind of like, oh, he's just kind of a weird fella. Doesn't think anything of it. But then later she has dinner with that guy who ended up working at Honeywell who's trying to come on to her. And then he realized that, oh, he was lying about, his entire life at that point. Well, maybe other people will lie. So she kind of grows.
Really?
Yeah. So then
I don't remember that.
That's how she kind of figures like, oh, maybe I should go back and talk to William H. Macy because maybe he was as slick as this guy. So you get to see her kind of grow there. So it's great character growth in that film. Plus, Marge is sweet.
Yeah.
She's such a sweet character. And you don't want her to end up in the wood chipper in the end, so.
Wasn't the character pregnant as well?
She was pregnant too, so technically, she's a mom. So it's a great movie, Mom.
Okay.
Well, no, because I was writing a list of movie moms for some juncture, and I said like, dude, Marge, she's pregnant with a child. She's technically a mom. She's badass, Mom.
Muzio Gaming says theirs would be Two Towers, Life of Brian, Die Hard, Green Mile, and Mulholland Drive. All good choices.
Nice. Good genre choices, man.
I don't think I've actually watched Green Mile. I probably should. I've read some Stephen King books.
Oh, that's a little bit of everything.
It's one of the better adaptations of a Stephen King novel.
Very eclectic. Mm-hmm. Very colorful list there.
I really dig Mulholland Drive. Why did I just wipe my head of his name?
David Lynch.
I was about to say David Lynch, and then it just flew out of my head. Like, bye.
I'm in your head.
David Lynch. We watched a documentary. It was more about his paintings, and I hadn't known that he had painted prior to that. And it was amazing.
Yep.
His
art is life.
Is really. Yeah, his art is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If any people who follow David Lynch, they've most likely seen his paintings or even just like some of his animation at some point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a great documentary. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called David Lynch Art is Life, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think you said that.
Very eye opening.
Yeah, it was good. Well, we were watching that right before we watched the new season of Twin Peaks, so.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks.
God, I love that.
The tits were pretty good, too.
For Mulholland Drive?
Oh. I guess there were tits in there, weren't there?
Yeah, there were
tits. I
tits.
guess I wasn't focused on that, so.
Yeah. There's usually tits in a David Lynch film.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
I
likes...
could see that. And there's that one scene in Twin Peaks where it's all flirting. It's just, with that the lady who's taking forever to leave his room,
Oh, yeah.
You just kind of wonder about things like that with him.
Audrey. Good gravy.
Yeah.
Well, Lynch's films are just so fun, just like, because he's been kind of controversial with some people. Just for kind of like, some people say like, oh, he treats women really poorly in his films.
Probably.
Which he kind of does.
Are we going to get a Harvey Weinstein thing out of him next?
Well, no, because actually a lot of the women come out and say like they like working with Lynch.
Maybe he's just upfront about everything.
I mean,
maybe that's what works. I don't know.
I mean, something might come out. I mean, he's certainly surprising.
Muzio Gaming has a friend that's a movie maker, and they'd want us to watch it, or it'd be cool if we watched it. What's it called?
Hmm. If it's well, if he submits it to like a festival, because we do have like the Twin Cities Festival around here. If he submits it somewhere through there,
It's on Prime, he says.
oh, it's on Prime. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take a
Yeah,
look at
Prime.
it.
Sure.
I mean,
You gotta tell us what's called though.
I mean, I won't.
Home for Christmas.
Home for Christmas. Okay. I mean, I won't.
Relevant.
I won't guarantee a review just because I don't like doing it as parlor tricks. But if it's worth checking out, then yeah, I'll give it a watch. Home for Christmas. There's only one, right? It's only just Home for Christmas. It's not like anything else. I don't know. It sounds like kind of a generalist one because I'm pretty sure there's another film like that.
I have no idea. Wasn't there one with was it Jonathan Taylor Thomas? He was in where he went home for Christmas.
Yeah, that's I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
I'll be home for Christmas. Jacking off to. Sorry, every time I hear that song now, it just brings up Carl.
Aqua Teen.
Aqua Teens. Our first date.
Our first date.
Hunger Force.
Yeah. That's how you know if a woman loves you. She'll sit with Aqua Teen Hunger Force with you.
Wasn't that my idea? I like that one.
Yeah.
So Home for Christmas, he says, is based on their hometown in Brighton.
Oh.
So.
All right. Yeah, I'll give it a watch.
Sure.
I like seeing hometown films like that.
Cool.
Always good to see those.
Christmas. Oh, it gave me a link. Will we be able to get the link later, or should I open it?
Why don't you just save it? Because if it's opening the Amazon Prime page, it'll probably take you to Amazon.
Oh, I like the cover. I mean, like the poster or whatever you call it.
All right.
It's a link to the UK site. You don't think that'll matter, right?
It probably will if we want to watch it on Prime. But just
we'll figure it out.
But if it's on Prime, it'll probably be on the Prime US. So I'll look for it there.
I'll bookmark the page.
Okay.
But it's not in your usual browser, I think.
No, but
You'll figure it out.
I'll remember it. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Sure.
Always, if it's a small film, yeah. I love championing small films.
It's in the U.S. as well.
Mm-hmm.
Asking about the TV show Skins. You know that? Do you watch that? I don't think I've ever watched
I've actually
that
never
one.
watched Skins. I know I think it was controversial at the time just because of the sex in it.
Was that the one about plastic surgery?
Oh,
Bye, Nope. Thanks for coming.
Oh, I didn't know you were here. Nope. Well.
Oh yeah, they commented earlier. You probably just didn't hear me.
Oh, I did. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Nope.
Or maybe I didn't reference it.
Oh, glad you said that.
The budget was about $20,000 for the Home for Christmas or for the show Skins. Probably Home for Christmas.
I remember
that
Christmas.
makes more
Yeah.
sense.
That seems pretty cheap. Yeah. If it's a small film, definitely. So one of the things they like to stress about critics we like to champion small films, which is good because then you can give it's free advertising, and then you can get good recommendations. Yeah. And
I like small films. I'm tired of a lot of the big budget ones.
Yeah.
They're all just crap. I don't know.
Yeah. That's why I'm really happy that one of the
big ones, I mean.
One of the films
the small ones seem to have more originality.
One of the films that'll probably be up for an Oscar this year is actually, I think, a pretty independent film. It's called The Florida Project.
Oh yeah.
And
you told me about this one, didn't you?
Yep, the one about the slums outside Disney World.
Yeah.
And it's cheaply shot, but it's very very effective. And I mean it's got William Dafoe in there. It's a big name, but it's mostly an independent release. It's not gonna have any big commercial thing. It might have an Oscar push, but that's about it. But yeah, I love championing smaller films. Get a lot of them on online screeners more than anything, just because they're easier to get out because they're not as prolific. But yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff from there. I see a lot of films it's a great film that a lot of people might forget. It's called Dina, and it's a documentary about two autistic people who find each other and marry, and then you learn she kind of has a darker past, her past boyfriend tried to murder her.
Jeez.
So, and sticks with her. It's a really good documentary. There's a lot of documentaries are easier to shoot, so they end up sending a lot of documentaries. But yeah, smaller films always love to champion them because the big budget film, if I say a bad word, whatever, there'll probably be like 1,000 other reviews that'll champion it, and people just go because of the marketing. But talk about small film, people go to it.
And with that, I skipped dinner and I'm getting super hungry.
Oh my goodness!
It's pretty late here.
Yeah, we've been going pretty long there. Should we close up?
Yeah, we should.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. So thanks for watching. My name is Mark McPherson. You can read my reviews at TwinCitiesGeek.com, Moviespoon.com. And my personal blog is movieswithmark.com, where you can read new reviews of The Post and The Greatest Showman. And my books are available on Amazon, The Best, Worst, Weird Movies 1990s, and I have Patreon and Twitter and YouTube and all that other crap below. So.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram at VisionGoo. I'm also on Twitch at VisionGoo, and we stream on my channel on Wednesdays at 8 Central Standard Time, and Thursdays on this channel at 8 Central Standard Time. So
that's right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
I will find the app to turn it off.